So, before we get into the actual video, let me talk about socialism for all and why Square One, you shouldn't take anything he says seriously about our party or about anything ACP related. A priori, it has no credibility or significance. I'm going to be exposing his lies for educational purposes. Because if there are any people that watch him for his audiobooks who are deceived and fooled by what he's saying, I'm doing this for you, to give you a chance to see the light of day and see the truth. That's who I'm doing this for, okay? It's very benevolent of me, by the way. But, a priori, what he says is devoid of substance and is worthless. Because he is literally a non-party simpleton, okay? So in 1912, Stalin wrote about the non-party simpletons. And let me read it to you, okay? What is non-partyism? So at the time, he's saying there are landlords and peasants, their interests are antagonistic, a struggle between them is inevitable. But non-partyism ignores this fact. It wants to hush up antagonisms. In Russia, there are bourgeois and proletarians, but non-partyism glosses over the antagonism of interests. It shuts his eyes to the struggle. Every class has its own party, with its own program and complexion. Parties direct the struggle of classes. Without parties, there would be not struggle, but chaos, absence of clarity, and confusion of interests. But non-partyism abhors clarity and definitiveness. It prefers nebulousness and the absence of program. So, what is the aim? To unite the ununitable, to bring about the impossible. So, let me explain the non-party simpletons of our current era, right? Because the ones that Stalin were talking about were these petty bourgeois intellectuals who thought that by the deign of their newspapers and voicing their individual opinions, they're somehow going to affect reality meaningfully. The subject of discourse, if you are a communist, is collective organization. That's the subject of discourse. It is not metaphysics. It's not metaphysical truth or metaphysical falsehood. It is practical and collective organization. If you have not proven that you are capable of entering into a collective association with others and putting your line somehow to the test, not just speculatively, not just hypothetically, but the position that you represent, somehow putting it to the test, or at least concretely proposing, and I say that concretely, proposing your line in a way where the subject is collective organization, your opinion is metaphysical and it's worthless. Your position needs to be reflected in some kind of practical plan or practical stance that is collective. What you represent at least has to be a hypothesis about what is to be done. Okay? If that's not the subject of your discourse and you're just gossiping and shit-talking other parties, what position of conceit are you coming from? You are just a individual in the Green Party, I think. This guy's in the Green Party. What does your position actually amount to and represent? What are you communicating to your audience? Sit back and look at how they're doing it wrong? But saying that we're doing it wrong necessarily implies that you have a grasp of what it looks like to do something right today in America in 2025. That's what that implies. If you can know something is a wrong practice today in America in 2025, you should know what a right practice is. You should test your position. You should have skin in the game and actually show us how it's done in practice. Everything should always be reduced to its practical significance and consequences. Everything else is metaphysics, okay? This guy is not in a party, and he's calling himself a Marxist and a socialist. His audience aren't in a party. I don't understand what the point is. Like, what are you actually saying when you're shit-talking our party? That our party's bad and it's not doing it right? Then what does it look like to do it right? Show us. Prove it in practice. Put up or shut up. Literally, put up or shut up. If you can't actually show us what success looks like, literally shut your fucking mouth and sit back down. Sit down and shut the fuck up. Your opinion is worthless. A priori, it's worthless. It's not even a critique. A critique is constructive. A critique, again, A critique is about analyzing the dialectical coincidence of, the appearance of a thing and the essence of a thing, and how those relate to each other, and how those are discontinuous. The real mechanisms behind a given determination, the real processes and contradictions that underlie a given determination. That's what criticism is drawing those out, okay? That is a necessarily constructive procedure that yields positive insights. I guess it's easy to shit on us and talk about how flawed we are, but we are a party, and we are doing something, and we are putting it to the test, and we have only existed for 5 months. You are an anonymous pussy on the internet who reads audiobooks. You have nothing to show for anything. You have no grasp of Marxism. I've proven that before, and I'll be happy to prove it again, by the way, tonight. You have nothing to offer. Your position is completely empty and bankrupt. It doesn't represent anything concrete. It represents this petty bourgeois individualistic position of conceit, as if you're superior to the entire world because you're anonymous and you're doing nothing in real life. So that makes you superior because you could never possibly fail because you don't have any skin in the game in the first place. Of course, the biggest winner of all is the person who doesn't even try because there's no possibility of failing because you're not even fucking doing anything. That's superiority? No, it's not superiority. It means you're worthless. It means your opinion is worthless. It has no weight. You don't even have a right to talk. You shouldn't have a right to talk, I should rather say. It's incumbent upon me to teach young Marxists, and new Marxists for that matter, that people who talk without having any kind of practical consequence underlying the subject and content of their speech do not have that right to be taken seriously within Marxism. A goofy guy like me, who's done so many goofy things as a streamer, has a right to talk about Marxism because I've always had a practical and concrete prescription that's underlying everything I'm saying. I've always had this CPUSA 2036 strategy. Now it's ACP. Never did I idly just throw out a position that is just a metaphysical whatever. I've always said, this is our strategy. This is our path to victory. This is what we should do. Join the Communist Party. I've always said that. If you're not in a Communist Party or in the process of building one, you don't have a position that is of any relevance or concern to Marxism or to the communist tradition, for that matter. So many of these petty bourgeois individualists just have this idea that they can be communists by virtue of their opinion. That's not true. Anyone can have a fucking opinion. Put it to the test. Being a communist implies a practical commitment to something. It doesn't just mean you're living off of YouTube videos, recording audiobooks, and becoming a Keemstar drama gossip channel about smearing other parties and whatever. Okay? So that's just the preface, okay? If you thought that's harsh, let's get into the actual video. I mean, right before getting into anything, too, I just want to say, it's really funny how I'm going to tell you the biggest mistake this guy made. Another thing about Marxism, beyond, at least when it comes to communism, the practical commitments that implies, Marxism's notion of truth is distinct from the bourgeois epistemology in the sense that it's not a vulgar empiricism. But, as Mao said, it is based on, seeking truth from facts. It's about substantiating your claims with evidence, right? It is scientific in that sense, at least. But this person is not a Marxist for no other reason than the fact that they didn't even deign to investigate any of the content of what they're covering here to make sure that they're getting the facts straight. They saw these former members of our party talk smack about it with no evidence, by the way, providing no receipts, and because of this person's outstanding biases, that they deeply resent us and they're against us or whatever, they and all the comments they approved, by the way, this person manually approves comments because they're a coward. They just decided that these people were correct uncritically. They said, yeah, everything they're saying is true because it's negative information. Well, that is an un-Marxist bias that you have. If you are a Marxist committed to truth, you shouldn't let your presentation of the facts be clouded by your biased and deeply subjective feelings and sentiments about us. If you are going to actually engage in a critique of the American Communist Party, you should make sure you weigh, different conflicts of interest, different biases maybe. Is Danny Shaw biased? Is John biased? Is Bree biased? What actually happened? Did I fully investigate that? Do I know? Or am I just getting their side of the story and uncritically assuming that is the entire truth? Again, it's just disappointing. I mean, how do you expect to be taken seriously as a Marxist, somehow a Marxist educator, when your idea of reporting on something that happens to another party is uncritically taking at face value what a handful of wreckers say and not even caring to see if they are lying or if they're biased or if there's another side to the story? I mean, it's really pathetic, actually. In any case, this person is clearly an unprincipled grifter in the real sense of the word, who is just, trafficking in hearsay and garbage and shit just for the purposes of trying to demean our reputation as a party. If he just wants to say that he disagrees with us about Russia and China, that would be principled. If he just says, I don't agree with him about Russia and China, just be honest then. The fact that we don't share your line about Russia and China and all these other cultural issues, by the way, doesn't give you the right to run with a bunch of lies and smears about us just because it happens to conveniently, damage our credibility if true, right? No, you should be confident in your arguments on the basis of their merit when it comes to questions of Russia, China, and culture issues. You shouldn't have to rely on demeaning your opponent's credibility and reputation in order to convince and persuade people that your position is correct. Is that not a principled Marxist stance, by the way? 101.
Hey, welcome to Socialism for All. Today's date is January 23rd, 2025. And
by the way, this guy up big time because look what we did exposing Danny Shaw. I mean, he made a big mistake. He let his biases cloud his judgment. He took the words of these records at face value. Look what just happened, Danny Shaw getting exposed. He uncritically took that at face value himself because it conveniently fed into his narrative and reinforced his biases just because he's not confident enough in his actual theoretical disagreement that he has with us. He has to resort to these unsubstantiated smears and slanders against our credibility and reputation.
About 6 months ago, a group of reactionaries pretending...
He got his 10K video views. Look at his channel. This is by far the top performing video on his channel since the last video he made about us. All the top videos on his channel have our names on it. That just shows you who matters, because the American Communist Party matters and is doing something, and this guy is nothing. He represents nothing. He's not doing anything except voicing over audiobooks and grifting off of that. And he has a Patreon. Oh, are you a worker? You have a Patreon, dude. Kind of sounds like to me that's petty bourgeois since everything's about your lifestyle, right? He's just grifting for his Patreon. Like, this is just shameless grifting. Every single top video on it, he knows this. The only things people are interested in that he has to say is directing negative attention toward us. Because clearly, we are very divisive. And clearly there's an agenda against us. It's almost all but proven at this point. This is coming from feds. But we are something to talk about. That's more than can be said about this guy. The only reason we're covering him right now is because I'm defending the party, right? But we are something to talk about. This guy, everyone forgets he exists until he mentions our name. Remember, everyone forgets Socialism for All even exists or is alive until he releases a video with our name in it. That is the only way he can acquire relevance, and he can even be remembered and exist and be in people's head. It's really pathetic. Maybe if you formed your own successful party or joined a successful party and have results to show for anything, right? Making even an inch of progress in the direction of spreading proletarian consciousness, maybe people would take you seriously enough to actually watch your content earnestly and in large numbers without you having to mention us or ride our coattails, you f***ing loser.
To be communists, founded the American quote-unquote Communist Party. Prominent early members included Jimmy Dore regular Jackson Hinkle, quote-unquote MAGA communist infracell, members of the Midwestern Mussolini Institute, Chris Halali of the PCUSA, and assorted other characters who had previously been associating in the sort of LaRoucheite pseudo-Marxist thing that had been coalescing.
It gets exhausting because I spoke at Schiller's conference one time 2 years ago, or 3 years ago actually. It's all LaRouche.
For some time.
LaRouche is never mentioned in our party. I don't think he's never been mentioned once in our party journal, not even one time. Literally no relevance in our party at all. But it's all LaRouche. And by the way, not Michael Hudson. If anything, you'd call us Hudsonites. That would be very accurate, actually. Even though it's not officiated by the party as an official ideology. We are like followers of Michael Hudson. I mean, that is a thing, you know. But LaRouche is not.
We've been commenting on these people periodically over the last few years because it has been a disruptive influence for people trying to study and discuss Marxism-Leninism online. It took a lot of...
Wait, it's a disruptive influence for people trying to study and discuss Marxism online. What about for people actually trying to form a communist party or join a communist party and actually do something? I'm sorry, but frankly speaking, Marxism is not this like thing from outer space. It's not like this ancient Egyptian incomprehensible hieroglyphics that you need the Rosetta Stone for. Marxism is there. It's not difficult to learn Marxism. It doesn't particularly take a long time either. Not nearly as much time as these people are claiming they need to actually get off their fucking ass and do something. Okay? Marxism is there. China's here, or he doesn't believe that. That's fine. There's already a precedent for a communist and Marxist tradition. Okay? Get off your f***ing ass and do something. You want to discuss it online. For how long do you plan on discussing it online before you get off your f***ing ass and actually do something? Excuse my French. It's not good for the algorithm.
Of people by surprise that they would actually attempt to form a party, given the complete lack of real-world managerial or people skills. But as Infracell is one of the main drivers of this thing, and his channel's popularity has been leveling off quite a bit in the last year, so I don't know, maybe an effort to pump up the numbers had something to do with it.
Yeah, this is another recurring theme throughout his video. I'm going to be calm. I'm not going to swear. I'm not going to get angry. But it's just such a reckless disregard for basic facts that he doesn't know that I clearly don't upload to him. My channel is falling off because I don't upload to it. Because with exceptions to like high-level appearances maybe that I want to upload, I do not regularly upload the channel, and I am not currently pursuing a strategy of growing my YouTube channel, and I haven't been doing that since Jackson got banned, which signaled to me very clearly that if I invested so much energy and effort in the channel, eventually I would get banned too, so it's just kind of pointless. I'd rather just keep everything I have and recurringly, maybe every once in a while, every few months, maybe upload to the channel. But it's just such a profound level of ignorance. I'm starting the ACP started because my channel fell off. The planning for the ACP happened 2 years ago, and that was actually at the peak of my regular when the channel was actually a source of income for me that I used to live stream every single day on. Okay, that's when the idea of the party came to be. As you guys can see here, I'm not streaming to the YouTube channel. I stream to Kick, and I have been for 2 years. Okay, my YouTube channel not growing is a consequence of me not doing anything on it, really. By the way, I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure that the last 3 or 4 videos I did upload did pretty well, actually. Yeah, but this it's just, look, I hate Philistinism. I hate this ignorance where it's like, because YouTube is your thing, which you're not good at, by the way, because you get about 100 views per video that's actually yours. But because YouTube is your thing, you assume it's my thing too. You know, you assume that everyone is like trying to do what you're doing, which is to pop off and become a YouTube celebrity. When it's clear I don't care that much about the YouTube right now. Maybe in the future that will change. But look at how funny this is. Like, almost all of my effort has been on X. This time period, which is over the course of the year, my X account grew 3 times. I'm at 100,000 now, and 100,000, and I started at what? 20? I got unbanned. I had 20,000. Now I'm at 100,000 on X. I don't know what to say. You know, my kick streams have been the same. You know, no, I don't know what this guy's implying. You know, when the ACP, when the idea for it was in the works, I was making more money at that time than at any point in my career as a live streamer and as a content creator. So this idea that the ACP was created because of trying to pump my YouTube channel. No. This is the cherry on top. I feel bad for this guy because he's literally dead right now, and I'm just beating a dead horse with a stick. Like, Socialism for All is on the ground right now, and he is being savagely beaten, even though he's already dead. Okay? And I feel kind of bad, but haven't you noticed how I've uploaded almost, I think, no ACP-related content on the Infrared channel? Since ACP launched, I have uploaded content on my channel, but not ACP-related content. If I was trying, if I agreed to form a party because I needed it to grow my channel, why haven't I been uploading any ACP-related content to the Infrared YouTube channel? I want to know what his response to that is. I want this guy to be strapped to a chair, and I want him to be forced to respond to that basic line of reasoning directly. And what he'll do is he'll make a snide comment that's unrelated. I'm not going to swear because of the algorithm. You messed up big time, buddy, making this stupid argument. You look really stupid. Everyone sees how stupid you look. You should quit. We haven't even gotten into this. And this guy has been destroyed. He is on the ground, unconscious and dead. And he's still getting beaten with sticks. Does anyone see how, like, profoundly stupid what he just said is? That ACP formed for my YouTube channel? And I haven't even uploaded any ACP-related content on my YouTube channel since the party launched? And we started a separate ACP YouTube channel unrelated to Infrared? Please tell me how this guy will ever make another video again without being embarrassed and ashamed. And everyone can make mistakes. Mistakes are fine. But he's coming from a place of malice. He's trying to malign my reputation. He's trying to make me look bad. And look how stupid he looks. Look how abjectly stupid this guy looks.
But in any case, these people...
We haven't even made it past the intro, by the way.
Who seem to be dedicated to shitcoding communism in the face of a looming massive crisis of global capitalism seem to have suffered a public setback last week, or maybe their handlers are just looking for a new...
By the way, this video is very outdated, if you couldn't tell. It was released before Saturday. So he's saying we suffered a massive setback because this was released before Saturday. I'm not sure if this guy would have uploaded this video after Saturday. So, yeah. So much for a setback, by the way.
Public face of...
By the way, Kyle's thread is standing by this morning, I checked this morning, at 500,000 views. Danny's thread got 250,000 views. We already have double the impressions and double the attention than that original hit job by Danny got. So I don't know what a setback is, if that was a setback.
Russian fascist Alexander Dugin, the Lyndon LaRouche connections, and the
Yeah, the LaRouche connections being that me and Jackson spoke at the Schiller Institute conference one time. And by the way, never mind the content of our speech where I talk about, the international proletariat and stuff. Who cares, right? And I talked about South Africa and the EFF and things that they didn't agree with at all.
Schiller Institute connections, the kind of neo-Browderist patriotic socialism stuff, the bigotry, the anti-LGBTQ+, the anti-woman stuff. It just really went on and on. As I mentioned, Infracell was already known for this. Jackson Hinkle, also a Jimmy Dore regular, and definitely in that vein. Chris Alali having been a member of the NASBAL PCUSA, which did a lot of the same stuff. In particular, Danny Shaw, who is a sociology professor in the City University of New York system, wrote 3 articles titled To All of My Comrades in the American Communist Party on the cultishness and liberalism of Ali Haz Hamoud and the Haz al-Din ACP cult through the lens of traumatizing narcissism, in which he goes into a lot of detail about the kind of horribly toxic shit going on in these groups. Although,
hold on, but how do you know it's true? How do you know that's true? How do you know there's horrible, toxic anything going on? Because he said so? But this is the guy... Oh, I'm sorry, this video was released before Saturday. My bad. He wasn't presented with literal, indisputable proof that Shaw is a liar and a malicious, bad faith actor.
Really, anybody joining this group with the kind of past and associations that the co-founders had, I mean, I don't know really what you were expecting or how you're going to make it better when most of the people were attracted to it because of, not in spite of, its revisionist, basically anti-communist orientation. We had covered in a video a few months ago about how Infracell during one of the streams was instructing the ACP chapters that they needed to be businesses generating revenue and that they were going to leave it up to them. All
right, so here's what Lenin said. This guy does audiobooks about Lenin. But he knows nothing for some reason. I guess he just knows how to read, kind of, but he doesn't actually have knowledge of the canon of literature he has made his entire channel about, apparently. Here's what Lenin said. It's time to take steps to establish local economic strong points. Restaurants, tea rooms, beer halls, libraries, reading rooms, shooting galleries, maintained by party members. Because if you're employed by a non-party people or whatever, you can get persecuted by them. You need independent bases because resources don't fall out of the sky. I don't understand. This was the argument I never quite understood. Like, this idiot talks about surplus value as if that has an immediate significance for parties needing to get resources and generate revenues, which they absolutely need to be functioning organizations and have always needed, by the way. Parties setting up businesses, communist parties setting up businesses is literally an international norm for communist parties around the world, okay? I never understood this criticism that they're trying to make. Like, do you think you're just going to enact a communist society in your own lifestyle and somehow win? How does that make sense? Because I go to the grocery store and I use exchange value to eat, even when I go to the grocery store, that means I'm like tainted by the capitalist system. What are you talking about? Of course you need money if you're a communist party. You think resources fall out of the sky and you could just create a utopia like automatically somehow? And this guy doesn't even know about surplus value, by the way, because since when does renting property generate surplus value, by the way? He mentions that for no reason. Additionally, he doesn't understand the aggregate. Surplus value is something aggregate. It's not something strictly local. A business can generate profit without generating any surplus value. Marx is very clear about that. But, I mean, it's not like that's relevant because Frederick Engels owned a factory. It is absolutely not out of the ordinary for communists to have owned businesses, even if the relations of production within those businesses were antithetical to what they foresaw as a future mode of production taking shape. That just because you are correctly anticipating that capitalism is going to transition into a higher mode of production after a proletarian dictatorship, just because you can correctly anticipate that right now, doesn't absolve you from the responsibility of actually responding to and existing within the society that exists now. Okay? And that's why I say, of course, you should abide by the norms and ethical guidelines. basic norms and ethical guidelines. I don't think communists, for example, have the right to generate money in any possible way. I think it should be in conformity with what people regard as ethical in the society we live in right now. Marxism is not trying to somehow like abruptly change that voluntarily right now. They are correctly anticipating that we are witnessing a breakdown of the current mode of production and that a new one is coming in from the distance, right? That has nothing to do, that has no immediate binding, like incumbent significance as far as how economically you need to survive. You don't drop everything and just suddenly isolate yourself from society. I would love to know how a party has revenue without being tainted by capitalism somehow. It makes no sense.
What kind of businesses they were to become, and that the national leadership was going to tax them once they started generating revenue. Why?
And what's wrong? Hold on. Everything, all of the expenses, as far as events have been concerned, as far as building up the party's like its launch is concerned, as well as so many other outstanding financial needs of leadership and the central party has been out of pocket. We've just been paying for that out of pocket. We've collected nothing from the party. Chapters are also funding their stuff out of pocket. Our party is not a wealthy party with millions at its disposal like the PSL. We don't have wealthy benefactors. And genuinely, in good faith, like, how does this guy think a party can just generate the revenue that's necessary to even subsist and continue existing without actually partaking in economic activity? Yes, we have expenses at the center that we absolutely need to cover. We are the ones responsible for events. We are the ones responsible for organizing national initiatives. All of the travel expenses of the international department, for example, are out of pocket right now. We do foresee a future in which Kyle works full-time for free. And it is a job. Make no mistake, it is a job. I am the person, maybe besides Jackson, who is the most economically secure. But even though it's a full-time job for me as chairman, I can manage. But notice how generous and reasonable the financial plan for the party is, though. Once chapters are up and running and are capable of funding themselves and making a living off of what they do, once they can start making profits, rather than just cover expenses both for themselves and their capital, of course, some of it needs to go to the center. Contrast that to parties that exist now, which say everyone immediately needs to fund the leadership now, which we aren't doing. I don't know why that's like scandalous or I don't know why that's like controversial. I don't know why that's like contentious in any kind of way. I don't get it. How is it okay for other parties to live off of their membership, their cadre, but we are actually, when you think about it, like what we're proposing is literally for the cadre to be able to like live off of the party themselves so that they could work and do this, and they won't have, just like Lenin said, so they won't have to be subjected to the whims and fancies of their employers.
Why? Not to build infrastructure, but just because, quote, we brought you together. Okay, definitely not suspicious. Also,
how is that suspicious? How is it suspicious at all that we are connecting? We are, yes, I mean, the center is necessary for chapters. Chapters rely on the center to be part of the network and to be coordinated and aligned with all the other chapters in the country. I mean, what is so like contentious about that? I don't understand.
When asked point blank, can chapters become landlords? The answer was, quote, literally yes. Okay, nothing suspicious here.
So why is that suspicious? Explain, no. Earnestly explain without moralizing why that's suspicious at all. Why is it suspicious? Was it suspicious for Engels to own a factory? Oh, but you're not Engels. So what gives Engels the right to be an exception to your morality and your moral judgments? Isn't that a weird, like, great man theory of history? So to you, there's people that can be exceptions to your moralism. Your morality is either solid or it's bullshit, okay? By the way. Landlords in Mao's time and in the context of the Russian peasantry have in common with today's landlords that they're parasitic. Absolutely. But the difference is that today it's technically a modern business. It's not a feudal relationship today. That doesn't mean it's less parasitic, but the point is that, I'm not saying there's no morality at all. There definitely have to be moral considerations when it comes to sources of party revenue. And I don't think it would be preferable to have your business be landlordism. By the way, I don't. But let's say you inherited a property that is being rented out or something. Should you what? You should give that away instead of using the revenue to help the party? I mean, it's stupid,
We are going to read the letters of resignation from John Malera, who was running the Jinx Jackman account on Twitter, and also the letter of resignation from Bree KB, the latter of which in particular gets into a lot of detail. But what we're going to show first is a video posted by Danny Shaw on Twitter from one of the ACP calls, in which John Malera Jackman raises some concerns to Infracell, and you can see how it went. Spoiler alert.
Okay, so let's look at his description of events, just because I want to show you how bankrupt this person's commitment to truth is. Let's run that back and hear this guy's description of something. By the way, the only insight he has is this clip, by the way, out of context. So let's see what he says.
Really, yes. Okay, nothing suspicious here. So we are going to read the letters of resignation from John Malera, who was running the Jinx Jackman account on Twitter, and also the letter of resignation from Bree KB, the latter of which in particular gets into a lot of detail. But what we're going to show first is a video posted by Danny Shaw on Twitter from one of the ACP calls, in which John Malera Jackman raises some concerns to Infracell, and you can see how it went.
No. See, I gave this guy 1 HP because Google told me that it can be 3 people. So he got 1 HP point, but he just got hit again, and he's dead on the ground. Again, it's just beating a dead horse. John did not raise concerns at this meeting. John raised concerns for I myself am guilty of this several nonsense, for 2 weeks, okay? And when I got back home from Russia, he raised them to me, and we all listened to all of his concerns. We set aside hours and hours and hours, even one day after I came back, to listen to everything he wanted to say. And even before and after that, he was talking to all of us the whole time. Okay? John Malera's concerns were that I needed to resign as chairman. Okay? Now, he had the right to raise that concern, but he didn't persuade anyone because it had no constitutional validity, and that's what he was told. Then we had another meeting, and he pretended everything was fine. He took notes, and he was chill. Okay? As days went by, John said that everything's fine, let's move forward with the work. So that's what we all did. So for this meeting, which we set aside time to do work, John decided to repeat his bullshit about how I needed to resign and how I'm so bad. Repeating again what he couldn't do before in a resignation letter. He wasn't raising concerns. He was putting up a theatrical performance, telling everyone that he's quitting the party because he didn't get his way, which is that he wanted me to resign and he wanted us to liquidate the Constitution. But look at the manipulativeness. Look at the manipulativeness of this Socialism for All guy who's trying to make it appear as if this is an example of someone raising concerns with me at a meeting and that's my response. Look at how he completely didn't even inquire into the question of whether this clip may have been taken out of context. Maybe there was weeks of this guy raising concerns. Maybe there was weeks of everyone telling him that they don't agree with him. Maybe there was weeks of him saying that I needed to resign and him being told there's no constitutional basis for that. Because as a member of the Politburo, even if the majority of the Politburo wanted me to resign, which they didn't, it was only him. Even Danny was too cowardly to demand this, by the way. That would be, if anything, the executive board, who I'm accountable to. And our central committee doesn't form until the spring. So because one person, see, it's not that he was raising concerns. Okay, that could be like a constructive criticism. Haz, I want you to do this. I want you to do that. He was saying, Haz, you must resign. Okay, that was his concern. That was what he was demanding. He wasn't making a good faith criticism about like how he doesn't like the direction and how he wants this and that to change. We even begged him to give us something like that. He wouldn't. Nothing short of me resigning satisfied John's demands. Nothing short of me resigning, okay? And he was alone. He's the only person who was dying on this hill, and he wasn't getting his way. So after a week that I was involved in, there was another week others were involved in talking to him, he disrupted a meeting, and what he was saying was not raising concerns. What he was saying was, I didn't get my way, so f*** you, I'm quitting. Even though I lied to you all and said I accept the outcome for days, he was giving us the biggest f*** you could possibly imagine. Reading off of a script, this was a scripted thing. He sent us the document, his resignation letter. You know, he didn't even want to just read his resignation letter. He had 2 documents he wanted to take 2 hours reading at this meeting. One was him on all of us. The other one was the resignation letter. He didn't get his way, so he wanted to disrupt the meeting, quit, and put on this theatrical performance. So yeah, nobody was shutting down criticism or shutting down someone raising concerns. A wrecker was being shut down for trying to disrupt a meeting after having not gotten their way, after a week of trying to reason with what was clearly in retrospect a bad faith actor who would not accept any outcome short of me resigning and the Constitution being liquidated because he said it was illegitimate. I don't know what party would have caved to a demand like this, and I don't know what kind of comradeship a communist could sincerely possess that wouldn't be personally insulted, aggrieved, and offended, and angered deeply by conduct like this. If you consider someone like this your comrade, and you've already tried to reason with them for a week, and they're lying after they didn't get their way, that they're ready to move forward, and then they hit you that they're going to quit, fuck you, I didn't get my way, I'm quitting, and to add insult to injury, they want to insist upon disrupting a meeting and making it all about their feelings. Tell me who that would not infuriate. Maybe in a corporation where everyone is hating each other and competing with each other, it wouldn't anger if I was a CEO and this person, I saw him as a business competitor and this capitalist competition shit, I wouldn't get angered. I'd be like, haha, you bit the dust. No, this angered me because I saw him as a comrade, and what he did was fundamentally treacherous. It wasn't only treacherous, it added insult to injury, because not only was he saying he wants to quit, which we can do nothing about, he also wants to take up 2 hours of our time regurgitating all of his insults and attacks on me, which, by the way, were jumbled, incoherent, and devoid of precision in terms of being able to be articulated with concrete examples. The dishonesty. I mean, you lack so much credibility. The only credibility Socialism for All has is that he may have correctly used the word several, which I'm not even fully convinced on. But the only correct thing he has said so far, the only thing that actually reflected a regard for truth thus far is that he may have correctly used the word several. He may have. I'm not certain. Google, I mean, I'm almost obsessed with this because it's like, this has changed my world knowing that several can refer to just more than two. This person says 3 or more. This makes no sense. See, no. Marquette Law School. Law school. Something is changing. Something is changing. Wait, is it? Oh, this is just the comments. This is some idiot speculation, just like me. Where someone's saying, few is 3, some is 4, 5, 6, several is 7, 8, 9. This is crazy. This is someone's saying it's several. It makes no sense. All right.
Spoiler alert, after the tirade of shouted slurs and insults delivered at top volume, he literally tells him to come on a show and debate him. And as you watch these, ask yourself.
Yeah, look. It looks ridiculous to respond to someone in your party trying to like criticize you that come on my stream and debate me. But that's because this clip is taken out of context. If we have already exhausted the medium of party communications when it comes to him being able to raise his criticism, which he was given that opportunity for a week, wasting all of our time. If you've already been given the opportunity to rationally articulate position, and no one is convinced your position is rational, we have to assume that this is some kind of personal issue you have with me that is outside of the significance of the party as a collective institution. So yes, come on my stream and debate me, dude. I don't know what to tell you. If your issue is just with me, which clearly it is, for some inexplicable, irrational reason that has nothing to do with the party and its procedures and its constitution, I can say nothing but, like, either come on my stream or fight me in real life. I don't know what you want. You're constantly saying I need to resign. You're constantly saying that, Haz is bad, he's horrible, but you're not able to list examples. You're not able to articulate yourself in a consistent or coherent way. And the most important thing is that you're not able to persuade anyone else of your position. If everyone else who was in this call, which is true, including Danny, already in our meetings told John and told him in private that he doesn't agree with where he's coming from, then I have every right to say, just come on my stream and debate me, because everyone here already told you what they think, okay? But they're dishonestly presenting this out of context to make it seem like this is when John brought up his criticisms. This was a week after we were dealing with John's criticisms, and he accepted the result of his attempt failing, okay? Everyone already heard what he had to say, and everyone already heard what he was demanding. At this point, he was wasting our time. He was wasting our time putting up a theatrical performance and quitting. What should I have said? Okay, John, you're going to quit, and we're going to, instead of fulfilling this meeting's agenda, we're just going to listen to you. Tell us about how horrible we all are, and that you're forcing us, and that we're forcing you to quit. Guys, I want you to think very carefully about how insulting that is. We have a set agenda for Wednesday's meeting, and John wanted us to sit for 1 or 2 hours where not only is he announcing he's quitting, but we all have to listen to him about how shitty and horrible we all are, and me especially, by the way, and how we all forced him to quit. I mean, what right does he have to take up our time doing that? He didn't like the outcome of the whatever you call it, the struggle session he subjected me to. He didn't like the outcome. Nobody agreed with him in terms of what he wanted, which was me to resign. So he now has the right to insult everyone, tell them how bad and shitty they are, and me in particular, I have to sit and listen to this guy talk about how shitty I am, which was not a constructive criticism, because John was not telling me, hey, Haz, this is your issue, here's how you can improve, or here's my advice for you to improve. He was saying, Haz, you are fundamentally, psychologically irreparable, and you need to quit and resign, or else. Why should I listen to that? It's literally a waste of time. No, John, I'm not going to liquidate the Constitution and resign because you want me to. When no one in the executive board wants me to, or is even giving me that right, and no one else in the Politburo wants me to. So because I'm not doing what John says, I have to sit for an hour or two and listen to him recite this thing he wrote up, 2 documents, which would take like 1 or 2 hours. Why should we all be subjected to sitting there and hearing that instead of actually attending to the party business and the agenda we set out to discuss for the meeting, which were literal practical things we needed to get done and we were behind schedule on? And that's the recruitment drive, by the way. Am I wrong to be upset that this dishonest, disingenuous, bad faith actor, Socialism for All, is uncritically presenting this clip out of context to make it seem like it's literally like the opposite of what it is? How dishonest do you have to be to say that this is how Haz responds to criticism? I mean, why should I have allowed John to waste all of our time in a meeting we had set aside for party business just to insult us and tell us he's quitting? I want you to think about that for the good of the party, for the good of any party. You hate ACP, that's fine. What about the Socialism for All party? Let's call it the S4AP. Let's assume this was an S4AP meeting, okay? Are you going to allow a guy to sit there for 1 to 2 hours and tell you that because you're not doing what he says, which is liquidating your party's constitution, you're going to sit there and listen to me insult and degrade all of you for not doing what I said, instead of set about to conducting the business that you had agreed on and planned for that meeting? Would the S4AP party tolerate that? Oh yeah, sorry, we didn't destroy our own constitution that was ratified, that everyone else, even if you don't like how it was ratified, that's the constitution we have, without which it's anarchy. Sorry, we're not going to completely throw away our collective procedures because one guy didn't get his way. So let me listen for 1 to 2 hours about why you're justified in quitting. No, just quit. Just quit. We heard his arguments. Everything he said, we heard. By the way, he could have just sent his little letter if there was anything new in there anyway for us to read. But what right does he have to take up a meeting, 2-hour meetings we do, and disrupt that which was dedicated to party business? No, in good faith, is there any enemy of ACP or leftist critic of ACP who can justify what he did there? And if anyone says that he was just raising criticism, it's like the Patrick thing from SpongeBob. Like, this is, you go through, you explain people what actually, but it looks like he was just raising. I'm not angry. This is why I started live streaming, because I realized that in the 21st century, 99% of people have the brain of a gnat, and are just instant gratification. They don't want to use reasoning. They don't want to investigate the facts. They don't want to actually understand what's going on. Only the thing that's right in front of their head that's being given a headline is true. So I started live streaming so I could be faster than you, so that my narrative can be faster than the stupid bullshit narratives of stupid YouTube channels like this, right? That's why people said, oh, Haz, you're not an intellectual, you're a vulgarian, you're a trashy live streamer. Yeah, I accepted the trashiness of live streaming because I have to accept modernity, the dictatorship of nowness. I can literally prove to you guys that this was not an example at all of someone raising criticism of the party and me freaking out. That's not at all what happened. But because This clip is out of context and it was given that headline dishonestly. That is immediate. That is now. Me explaining what happened, that takes time. That takes several minutes. This takes 30 minutes to see me yelling out of context. That's modernity for you. And that's why I hit that live button in 2021. Because I knew no matter how much I try to reason and write and do theory and even make videos explaining things in depth, it's not going to matter because modernity is the dictatorship of the now. And that's what Jackson Hinkle understands as well, right? So how dare these pieces of attack me as a live streamer, or you're a Twitch streamer, or attack Jackson for his trashy tweets. You yourself are even trashier. Look at what you're doing. You're not investigating what's happening. You have no regard for the facts. You're taking something taken out of context. You have no idea what's even going on here, but you're making assumptions because it's immediately convenient for you to make. You're trashier than an OnlyFans streamer. You're not some principled theoretician thinking things out in a rational and thoughtful manner and presenting your arguments in a reasoned way that requires the use of the intellect and whatever. You're pretending and posturing you're that versus me and Jackson, the trashy modern live streamer, Jackson's tweets or whatever. But all you're doing, you're just as trashy, if not trashier, but because you're less successful, you're pretending to be some kind of principled intellectual or principled person who doesn't care about attention and doesn't care about headlines, even though you're demonstrating behavior that condemns and damns your moral character, in contrast to what me and Jackson do, by the way. You are demonstrating that you are a trashy, morally bankrupt person. You know, you are fundamentally a trashy, bankrupt person hiding behind this facade of being an educator of Marxist theory when you are no different than Keemstar. You're taking shit out of context with no actual knowledge of the background and just assuming things are the way that you want them to be, because it reinforces the existing irrational biases you have already, which you coincidentally just so happen to not be able to justify in any kind of way either. Thank you so much, Emil. I appreciate you so much.
Is this something that you would want to be involved in? Would you be able to listen to somebody like this shouting at you? And doesn't
Jace, appreciate you.
it just sound like every other grifter out there trying to get a whole streaming...
I mean, look at how dishonest this guy is. Oh, would you want this guy to shout? Oh, is this... Like, this is so dishonest. This is so dishonest. I mean, for all anyone knows, John could have literally been like insulting my parents or something. You don't know what happened that provoked me to anger. You have no idea. Oh, is this somebody you want in your party? Well, what about the cause? You're looking at the effect. What about the cause? Is there no unprincipled, scummy behavior that could ever justify such an angry reaction? Mad Beach, what's up? Really? This kind of anger I show in this clip, there's nothing that could ever possibly justify that? Oh, but he was just criticizing you, Haz. No, he criticized me he insulted and criticized me for a week, and I kept my cool. And I very calmly told him, I cannot resign as chairman just because you want me to. And everyone else told him the same thing. So at this meeting, he wanted to take up 1 to 2 hours of our time, disrupting it, talking about how stupid and shitty we all are for not doing what he said, instead of us actually attending to the pressing business we had at hand. And after telling him to just quit and we don't want to hear it, him continuing to insult and provoke me absolutely provoked me to anger. I mean, just think, put yourself in my shoes. I tell this guy, John, you want to quit? Just quit. This isn't the place for this. We actually have work to do. And then John goes, the chairman's psychology. Literally shove it up your fucking ass. Literally shove it up your fucking ass. What human being could take that? What human? He's quitting because he didn't get his way, which, by the way, created a grievance for the party. We've overcome it now, but yeah, that was a shitty thing to do. Then he wants to insult us even more by reading his written speech. He came out of nowhere doing this, by the way, and he was lying to us the entire time in the days leading up that he's totally fine. That is enough to piss anyone off. But finally, the final straw is him starting to talk about my psychology. Yeah, I'm going to quit because you're a psychiatrist, John. I'm going to quit the party and resign because of your psychology. What human being could take that and not be pushed over the edge in the way that I was? He's already quitting. He's already insulting us. He's already trying to waste our time. And in response to me telling him we're not doing this now, he keeps going and passive aggressively says, due to the chairman's psychology. Like, yeah, you're such a perfect person, you know? He's such a perfect person. And I have a f***ed up psychology because he is a liar and a fake. Yeah, John, I could be a robot if I wanted to, but I'm not a bullshitter. I'm real. Anyone who acts real is going to yell sometimes and be upset sometimes. And I never yelled at John before. This was the first time I ever yelled at him. Because holy f***, being human means not being a robot. And he used my reaction that he provoked, by the way, as an example to justify his point, which he couldn't before. See, everyone? This is exactly what I was talking about. Yeah, when you constantly keep provoking and insulting me, given the context of what's going on right now and what you're doing and what you're trying to do, and after me telling you, no, we're not doing this meeting, yeah, congratulations, you managed to piss me off. That proved that I'm unfit to be chairman. Because I'm a human being that can get pissed off by retards doing dumbass shit. But you know what kills me inside? What kills me is the infinite patience I demonstrated in the run-up to this. This guy was literally saying I need to resign. And I wasn't taking it personally. He was literally saying all these things about, and I never took it personally. All I did was insist robotically on the constitutional order. Because I didn't take shit personally. I acted very professionally and whatever. So much patience. Ask Eddie. Ask Eddie. Ask everyone how patient I was for a week. I just got off a 30-hour flight. This guy's snaking me. How patient I'm being with him. I didn't see my family. I said, you know what? The day after I landed, I'm supposed to go see my family. I said no. We'll have a meeting to address whatever they want. I took that Friday off. Iron, appreciate you. I took Friday off to entertain this plot by two people in the Politburo to depose me. And I didn't take it personally. And I was a robot. And that was time that took away from me seeing my family that I didn't see for over a month. After I was in Russia and had a HIMARS strike 300 meters away from me. Imagine how worried my parents were. Imagine how much my mother and father were freaking out when they saw that news. And instead of seeing them, I saw John in a meeting. And I didn't take it personally. So yeah, forgive me if a week later, after he's pretending everything's good, that he's going to continue with his incessant insults and provocations. I don't know if this shit I do looks easy, but it's really not, all right? There's only so much I can take as far as insults are concerned by a guy who should know better, you know? By the way. It looks easy, right? then you, Socialism for All, unite people. Be in a collective organization and obey its collective discipline and stay united. And don't devolve into a sectarian fest where it all splits and gets fucked up. Go ahead. If it's so easy, you go do it.
Scam going that you eventually see on one of those YouTube channels that does like little documentaries on the rise and fall of this or that e-celeb that do like peek behind the curtain at the abusive work environment, etc. It's about 8 minutes long.
All I need to say.
Yeah, peek behind the curtain at the abusive work environment, as if this is somehow a reflection of the meetings that this is the only time in a meeting like this where the temperature got this high ever. But because this is the one Danny Shaw happened to release to the public, see, this is what makes me resent. I mean, this is a problem I have. Like, I genuinely resent the 21st century consumerist subject. I resent the stupidity and narrow-mindedness and shallowness and short-sightedness. And frankly, it's like these people are pigeons and how stupid small their brain is. I deeply resent the fact that there is this bias consumerists have where they have never seen, let's say, dozens of hours of party meetings, right? But they happen to see 30 seconds of an extremely exceptional and extraordinary meeting, and in their bias, they decide that that is the epitome and is a correct generalization of the work environment in the party. And unfortunately, dipshit, porn addict, consumerist, pigeon shit brain consumerists in the 21st century, that is how their brains work, and that is a bias they have inherently, including Socialism for All. And if the only thing that would ever make me a Sakai third worldist is the deep resentment I have toward that type of Philistinism, where you see 30 seconds or 8 minutes and presume that is somehow a general representation of the ACP work environment, just because it's all you've seen.
The American Communist Party of leadership, I witnessed a haphazard construction of the Constitution that undermined its credibility, lending to a level of confusion from cadre and inconsistency of its application. In the lead up to the ACP convention, some of the harder working individuals in leadership drafted a party constitution weeks in advance with multiple revisions. However, the quote, chairman, I believe referring to Infracell here, did not review the Constitution until the night before the convention.
That's not true at all, okay? What didn't happen until the night before is that the changes weren't made until the night before. By the way, the Constitution, Maximilian, if the Constitution is going to be drafted democratically, it needs a democratic voting body. Period. How does that body get organized and chosen without a Constitution that enumerates the procedures? You can't start with democracy. There's no way. We try to be as democratic as we can with the ratification thing that we subjected to a vote. Even if Bree, who we'll address later, even if her criticism held up that there wasn't enough time to discuss or review the Constitution, which was like 30 minutes, that would have been a sufficient reason for saying nay. Nay, I reject this Constitution because we haven't had enough time to discuss it and give our input, so that's why. You could have said that. Nobody forced you to ratify this Constitution. We had plans in place in case it didn't get ratified. We'd go back to the drawing board. The reason the majority of people ratified it is because the trust they had in the executive board. That's also the reason they accepted the terms and conditions under which the executive board formed with the plenary committee. Yes, a party begins with trust. Absolutely. It doesn't begin with democracy. It begins with trust. Tell me how it's any other way.
In fact, on the night before the convention...
That's how it begins. That's not to say the whole party purely operates on that basis. But you have to build institutions of democracy. They don't come from the start. There's no party in which the institution of democracy is fully realized in the beginning. It needs to be built as an institution. You need experienced cadre to be not only a voting body, but eligible for leadership.
He further put off critical constitution drafting to deliver a surreal, in real life stream he presided over us. And we listened to him talk.
Look, this guy is just going to narrate John's lies. I put off constitution drafting the night after the night of the day we ratified it, when there was no more drafting to be done.
Eat my face.
Look at how this idiot just reads all this slop uncritically and presumes that it's true. Because why? Because Haz yells in his streams. Socialism for all, I challenge you to actually explain how this bad faith of yours can be justified, besides the fact that I get aggressive and yell in some of my videos in my streams. The tone is very clear. But in terms of the content of where I'm coming from, in terms of the content of my motivations and intentions, what justifies your bad faith? You're just a pussy who's scared of bad words and people yelling, and it's as simple as that.
Kind of situation or what? Anyway, continuing, he wasn't interested in getting advice from experienced comrades. He was interested in us reading his mind to reflect.
John is experienced. I'm not going to get angry about this. All right, we already read John's stupid letter.
Themselves to account, the chairman deflected and blamed the treachery of the Politburo and made excuses for it. I think they have another person coming up who is going to be a lawyer soon, but for the time being, this guy's name is on all their paperwork, and they're completely screwed without him. So, you know.
He thinks we only have two lawyers in the party, him, John, and Grayson. John's not in any paperwork. All right, John. He's not so stupid as to any of that. He relinquished everything. So no, we're not without John. Our legal department is already in the process of new litigation.
You know, good luck with that. But
yeah, we'll take your good luck. All right, really. You know what? It's so stupid for me to lower myself and demean myself like this. It's like, this guy has been preying on my downfall for 4 years, saying, infracels. It's like, look, I'm going to be in fucking power, ruling a state as a dictator with nuclear weapons, and this guy's going to be making videos about me, about how I'm on the verge of collapse, and I'm such a joke, but how do you explain the line constantly going up, you read? I started out as a guy in a wife-beater tank top in an apartment with a camera, and now I'm chairman of the American Communist Party. At what point are you going to accept that you are not correctly anticipating with this weird parasocial personal thing you have with me? You have failed to correctly anticipate the trajectory. Like, why does the line keep going up if you're right? If you're right, you would have been right 2 years ago. We wouldn't have made the progress we have made. Really? No progress has been made? Are you going to cope and say that? Are you going to cope and say that there hasn't been, incredible success, given the odds faced?
But seriously, was this person just joining to sort of confirm what everybody knew? In any case, that's what is being done here. But disappointing.
I'm not saying I'm chairman to brag either, by the way. I'm saying that to say that very clearly the line of development as far as this whole movement, patsoc, whatever he wants to call it, is concerned, it is serious, okay? It is evolving in a serious direction. It is making strides and progress in a serious direction, which is showing results. If that wasn't the case, I would have been irrelevant and done years ago.
Disappointing was an understatement, or entirely predictable. I mean, again, have you seen this guy's streams? Any of his online behavior? It's childish.
Please concretely specify examples of how that reflects bad character. My tone, the entertainment comedy stuff that I do.
It's laughable. It's truly ridiculous.
It's laughable. Oh, he's saying, wait a second. He's saying that my YouTubes and my streams are laughable and ridiculous. Could it be because they are internet streams? Could it be that I didn't take seriously the medium of live streaming so much that I wasn't doing ridiculous and silly things because this is just some computer shit? Could it be? Could it possibly be? Could it possibly be that there's an understanding that live streaming itself is not there is a dimension that is not entirely serious and inherently absurd and ridiculous. Fly right here. Yeah.
Ridiculous. I mean, worthy of all the ridicule that it gets. So when I resigned to leadership over a week ago with my accompanying criticisms, I was shouted down with slurs in another cultish
Man, this guy's such a dumbass. He's like a Green Party guy, isn't he?
spectacle, prevented from even giving my remarks to a group I had sacrificed and given so much time and energy to support. A member of leadership who will remain anonymous sent a recording of the discussion after I'd left the meeting. Here, the chairman...
Did he really say who will remain anonymous when it was just Danny Shaw?
Plotted on how to trick me into coming back to do the work they needed until they could replace me. None of the executive leadership pushed back on this duplicity. Any possibility of returning to my leadership role was now totally foreclosed. Notorious cults have arisen.
So the minute he realized he'll never be able to return to leadership, he decided to dox me. Great. What a great character you have, John.
And from this type of enablement, I've had to painfully reflect on my responsibility in all this. Yeah, I'd love to hear some additional reflections on that because, you know...
Yeah, we all would. You retard. There aren't any. There aren't any. We tried for a week, trust us. We tried for a week to hear the actual criticism. But it is literally just as nebulous and as empty as what you're seeing in this document. He literally laid it all out. I didn't like how everything went down the night of the Constitution. But it wasn't your Constitution. It wasn't your authority. It was the plenary committee, which you weren't part of.
All the people that you're complaining about were known quantities beforehand, so I'd really love to know what you were thinking getting into bed with them. Anyway, what happened in my case was a signal to other members not to dare to stand up to, quote, leadership. I was astonished and crushed watching this play out. Whiffs of past dangerous and abusive political cults were becoming an undeniable stench. Really, a group...
Yeah, a cult is when you just have a binding collective discipline where you just agree to go with what is formally enumerated by written established procedure. That's a cult, sure.
That looks up to LaRouche was becoming a cult? You don't say. Over the past weeks, I've tried my best to do the right thing despite how difficult it has been. I don't feel like a hero. Yeah, you're definitely not a hero in my opinion. You are a villain who was trying to help build the ACP, despite what it was, and apparently have just started to realize some little piece of what the rest of us already knew. Anyway, I feel like I lost my...
Wait, if this guy's a villain, then why are you taking what he's saying at face value? Why are you assuming he's telling the truth?
Community. You're better off without it. For months, I played a role in the dynamics plaguing the party today. I decided to do the work that I believed in and kept pushing this forward. And for months, my excitement to be part of this community overshadowed the problems that I saw unfolding. And just to speak to that for a second, there's a part in the video where they're saying to him, like, what other party would have given you this opportunity? It definitely has that reek of, like, you can't leave. No one will ever love you like we do, when it's entirely self-serving. I participated in and promoted the work of ACP and its leader.
What the hell is he talking about? Like... No, what we were saying, actually, was that in any other party, you're going to have to bow your head and apologize for being a white male. That's literally the truth. In any other party, you are going to have to sit your ass down, and someone is going to yell at you and say you're a white male, and that's going to shut you up. And you're going to be harassed because of your immutable personal characteristics, which is going to completely override the substance of any kind of discussion that happens in contention. Yeah, you better be grateful that our party exists and we don't tolerate any of that bullshit. You should be grateful for that, actually. You should go see how it is in these other organizations. Then you'll come crawling, crying back to us, begging to come back. You know how crazy it is that we don't do that? Like, you know how crazy it is we don't do any of that? Your literal immutable characteristics don't matter at all. And you could just, like, nobody cares. Nobody's gonna, like, shame you because you're white. Or because you're a man or something. Like, nobody cares. Or the reverse. Like, no one cares. You know how crazy it is to be in a party that just cares about results? You're going to go to these other parties. You're going to sit down and talk about how we need to deconstruct the settler cisgender within for 5 hours and nothing's going to get done. Go have fun with that. Really, go have fun with that. Have fun in these petty bourgeois organizations where you're going to sit around and waste time gibbering about nothing instead of doing anything. I mean, yeah, I honestly think that people take our party for granted sometimes. That we actually are results-oriented and actually try to get shit done instead of gibbering about nonsense all day.
Like it was my job, just like many others. I was gone in my own way. I didn't want to cause problems. I could go along to get along. I bought into the fixation of leaders toward online optics and the need to ruthlessly ratio our enemies. Kind of like this whole thing is actually a social media grift. And I joined in on the paranoid obsession
Yeah, social media isn't central for a party in the 21st century. It's just central for entire states and governments, not political parties. No. The Communist Party should not appreciate the front and center significance of social media. It's just that governments and states do for some like irrelevant reason. Entire governments and states think social media is decisive and will literally determine elections. But political parties should not pay too much attention to it, right? That's such a great, compelling, materialist argument.
To identify and snuff out wreckers. I can see now that this kind of activity simply provided the dopamine and adrenaline rush that diligently and patiently building up the cadre and uncovering the correct proletarian line through practice did not. And again, a group that is about Dugin and LaRouche, etc., is never going to get to the correct proletarian line except to oppose it. Anyway, I too had faith that the executive board would sort
give a concrete reason or concrete example of that. Give us a concrete example of what the proletarian line is in America in 2025 right now. I challenge you to do that. He won't do it. I promise.
Itself out, and I didn't need to get too involved, but I could do everything in my power to help them meet their objectives. This could have kept going. If I'd been younger or at a different stage of my life, who knows how long I would have stayed in or waited to raise concerns. Nevertheless, I don't want to paint the experiment of ACP or its leadership as all negative. We did a lot of good work. We inspired people to support their communities. We built relationships among dedicated and principled Marxist-Leninists across the country. You're going to need some additional reflection, but we made insightful contributions to Marxist theory in the internet age. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. Keep reflecting, because you got a long way to go here. There's so much beauty in all this, and there's a real substance connected to the
work. Appreciate you.
ACP that we can build from. However, it has become clear to me that the leadership is not fighting to build the forces of the proletariat. They're fighting ghosts manifested by delusions and addictive online compulsions, wonder who he's talking about, which will further alienate our already alienated youth. After great collective deliberation and speaking to...
Yeah, his attorney said that an FBI informant was slandering us 24/7, who also happened to dox him and serially harass him nonstop. But we were chasing ghosts. Yeah, your attorneys were also chasing ghosts too, right?
Some of the most dedicated, principled, and hardworking comrades...
These were ghosts. This wasn't a real thing. Your attorneys were just crazy like me, right? They had the wrong psychology.
In our rank and file, as well as experienced Marxist-Leninist organizers who decided not to join the party due to concerns. Would love to hear more about that. I came to realize that I would be neglecting my responsibility as a leader not to warn our comrades about the troubling...
He's talking about one guy. By the way, you know what he's talking about? He's talking about one guy who was upset by my RPG video and said the RPG thing was unprofessional. And that's why they don't want to join the party. So for him, that's just proof that, you know, we're not true Marxist-Leninists, because I'm on video firing an RPG.
Dynamics I witnessed among leadership and some of the sadistic and maladaptive behaviors which could result in further damage to the cause of building a working class movement and create lasting trauma for the ACP membership. I leave you with this message now because it is the best thing I know how to do in the current moment, to try to correct past mistakes.
I can't wait to tear apart Bree's shit, though, because I never even read Bree's nonsense, but it's so entertaining. I'm gonna read it for us.
My own arrogance and to protect others. It took
and show you what a fucking lying idiot this person is.
Me time to see all of this and become aware of what was developing. I know this will be controversial to many who have followed my work. I will be labeled a wrecker, a fed, disloyal, and a traitor. My loyalty has always been to the American people. My resignation and statement are motivated by nothing other than a sincere concern and commitment to our people and the cause of the working class. You will be arrogantly told that party leadership inherently represents the cause of the proletariat, but as good Marxists, we know that the correct proletarian line can only be informed by practice and dialectically analyzing...
I agree. By practice. That's exactly it. By practice. So, show me how you can make the first step of practice if you cannot even do the bare minimum of respecting collective protocols of association, rules and procedures, and directives and orders you may not agree with, but are collectively binding. If you can't even have that discipline, I struggle to comprehend what practice you could ever possibly partake in as a collective.
Our material realities, including the reality of the development of the party. Leadership neglects such an analysis. The difficult truth is that the leadership of the ACP poses a danger to the cause of the working class that it claimed to represent. With respect and great love for the people, John Malera, Jackman. So now to close, let's read the statement from Bree.
All right, Bree the loose cannon individualist. To quote Danny Shaw.
KB, formerly on Twitter as Bree KB_, regarding the American Communist Party. In light of the recent high-profile resignations from 2 American Communists, and I resigned in December, I'm compelled to write the statement for several reasons. 1, the ACP is a rapidly self-cannibalizing...
We're rapidly self-cannibalizing because... 3 people, one of which is the first-person writer of this, got upset and spurged out and left. Our leadership is corrupt because we just insist upon the authority of the Constitution that everyone ratified. Will waste time, energy, and motivation of all its members. Yeah, and Bree, you have the executive right to decide that. not the members themselves. It's toxic to the development of the American working masses. Oh boy, really? Well, I struggle to comprehend what it would look like for the working masses to be free from this toxicity. Oh wait, they were free from it. For the entire period of history before 2024, before July 2024, the working masses were free from the toxicity of the ACP. And what progress was made, Bree? What progress was made? Free from the ACP's toxicity. Was there any promising sign or development in the direction of a working class political party at all before we came?
Affiliates ever since I anyway, and a once powerful chapter executive, I was relatively well acquainted with the true inner workings of the party.
I want to laugh, but I have lost my appetite for humor. The idea that Bree knew the inner workings of the party because she was a fucking chapter executive, and that she knew the inner workings of the leadership and stuff, and the quote-unquote dynamics of leadership. Even the fucking Politburo doesn't know the dynamics, full dynamics of leadership. The idea that a chapter executive fully knows the secret... No, the dynamics of leadership are in our Constitution. Those are literally the only dynamics. All the information she reveals about the dynamics of leadership, by the way, is just... You could just presume. For example, Haz is a streamer. I know how everything really works. Because Jackson tweets and Haz streams. I know the true dirty secret. Public information.
Let me help illuminate the truth. And, we haven't addressed it head on yet, but this statement is written by a woman, albeit one who saw fit to join the ACP in the first place, despite tons of people telling her on Twitter what she was going to find there, and despite all of Infracel's stream history being available. But yeah, if women hold up half the...
And is a woman... What a creep. What kind of creep is like... she is a woman. Like, can't you just I don't know, judge her by what she's saying? Why do you have to scrutinize so deeply her sex? She is a woman. She is a potential pool of women that I could definitely creep on. Yeah, that's just weird.
This guy, the ACP has had a major issue since its founding. It's a bunch of dudes, exclusively, and seeming to lean...
Yeah, you're a dude too, so shut the up, literally, shut up.
Toward gym bros.
Fucking creep.
Specifically.
You're a dude too. Oh, we're gym bros. So you're a skinny dude or a fat dude, and that makes you, what, more of a woman? Because you have more estrogen? Because you're fat or whatever? Nobody cares.
And at that, gym bros who have, no awareness that they are not, the norm in U.S. culture. These are guys with such little self-awareness that they can't...
What are you talking about? It's not normal to go to the gym? What does he mean? The norm of U.S. culture is not going to the gym is so... I think this is crazy personal. Why are you getting personal, dude? We all know you're fat. Nobody cares, all right? But such insecurity to talk about how we frequent the gym. And that's abnormal, by the way. Yeah, it's this esoteric, abnormal thing, which is going to the gym and attending to our physical fitness and health.
Cannot see anything that they do as not normal, or a product of their specific subculture and particular toxic idea of masculinity. Literally, they seem unable to relate to anything.
Why is this guy talking so much about sex and masculinity and femininity and all this shit? Imagine if Lenin wrote this way and just kept remarking upon oh, this person is presenting in a masculine... what is this nonsense gibber that has no substance, devoid of any substance at all?
Anyone else, or to understand why others view a lot of their behavior as repugnant, or at a minimum, really immature.
I'm one of the good men. I'm Socialism for All. I'm one of the good men.
All right, let's continue.
Or maybe this guy's a transgender. Maybe this is a woman, and they identify as a woman. I don't know.
Statement. The executive leadership of the ACP purports...
Maybe, I don't know. How would I know, right?
...to uphold the American proletarian mass line, but we have...
And I know they probably like Doritos a lot.
...have no American proletarian...
...completely gender neutral. Obesity.
...mass movement, and the ACP has no plan or ability to build one. So, what line are they really upholding? Their own.
How do you know? Oh, this is Bree. But we have no American proletarian mass movement. Okay, how do we build one? What's square one? ACP has no plan or ability to build one. How do you know? We've only existed for 5 months. I'm pretty sure our results are pretty promising so far. If not, in 5 months, accomplished more than we have, Bree. What line are they upholding? Their own. What? What? The ACP is upholding its own line? Wow. What are you fucking talking about? The cult of personality surrounding Haz relies on people believing he has some unique access to communist knowledge, despite Haz doing zero work on the ground and living completely isolated from the American people. Is this like racist or something? I don't understand this. Yeah, he's this Arab just doesn't know the true. Okay, she's literally like a groiper. All right. It's just kind of like your opinion. Look, I'm not claiming like I'm this like perfect guy or something. I'm just saying like in the other parties, you literally have to like sit for 5 hours and talk about how, you know, being cisgender means you have to deconstruct your genitals or something. I don't know, all right? I don't know what's going on in these parties. I just know they waste a lot of time gibbering about nonsense. Fuck in this fly is going in my eye. I'm not claiming to be perfect. I'm just saying, like, we have to start from somewhere. And, you know, you're claiming I'm insufficiently American. Well, I'm insufficiently American, but I feel like the ACP is the only party that actually is connected with the American masses, or shows the ability to do that. You know, I don't know what the point of this is. First, we're patsoc chauvinists, and now I'm just a dirty Arab who's not American enough. I don't know. I don't know anymore. Predatory and I'm predatory because I don't have a ton of like real life friends, because literally all my time is dedicated to the party and to things indirectly or directly related to the party, like infrared and stuff. Yeah, you're right. I'm predatory and anti-communist because I'm not going to I'm just not friends with everyone. You know, I'm not just making friends and socializing all the time because I've literally fucking sacrificed my entire life to the. In Haz's geopolitical postmodernist theory, wow, look at this word salad, with threads of Trotskyism. Is she going to elaborate on that? The social media war is paramount. Yeah, Trotsky was famous for his theory of social media and information theory. Why? Because social media is the only way Haz and his ilk have relevance or authority. Bree, it's not the only way Haz and his ilk have relevance or authority. It's the only way anything related to politics has relevance or authority. And don't take it from me, take it from the U.S. government and every government in the world that believes social media is of paramount significance. Yeah, the news doesn't matter. Media doesn't matter. Now, do I need to even cite what Lenin said about newspapers and the press and how that's literally the foundation and the center of a party? Oh, no. I mean, Lenin wouldn't care about social media. He just cares about newspapers. No, newspapers are all that existed back then. Media has advanced into social media. That is what media is in today's modernity, okay? I struggle to see what is related to Trotskyism about this. And because social media is one of the main ways the ACP executive board gets paid. Noah works on roofs for a living. He's literally a blue-collar worker. Kyle gets all of his money from being a truck driver. So that leaves Carlos, who gets his money from the Journal and from teaching classes. Oh, so she's talking about me, Eddie, and Jackson. Got it. So 3 out of the 4. And Chris Hilali, who makes nothing from social media. So 4 out of 3 make no money from social media. And because social media is the main ways, it is also through, so what a disgusting thing, by the way, to say that we care about social media because it's how we get paid. Then why the are we pursuing defamation suits so aggressively and willing to pay out of pocket so much of our own resources to defend the image of the party and defend its credibility? Because we're trying to get rich, you disgusting piece of filth. How dare you accuse us of that? How dare you accuse us of prioritizing social media because you're just trying to make money? As if I've been making money doing this shit, when I've literally been financially struggling since the party launched, and I've never complained about it, by the way. Yeah, we're making money from all this, right? I was making the most money before there was an ACP. If I just spent my time streaming every single day, and I literally would have more than twice the amount of money that I have now if there was no ACP. Yeah, I need ACP to make money on the internet, you know? What a disgusting thing to say, by the way. Like, how much we've sacrificed out of our own pocket, not getting compensated back. That the launch video alone was thousands, you know? I'm not saying I need money right now. I'm saying it's a disgusting accusation, given the actual facts of how much has been sacrificed. Jackson gains nothing from the ACP's social media, you know. Crass, thank you. Jackson gained nothing from it. Jackson started with nearly 3 million followers. Jackson did not need this party for his social media career or for making money on social media at all. I need to be in physical contact with your audience. You know what, Jay Morgan? I don't know if you're trolling or something, but that also costs money, which is throwing real life events. That also costs money. But apparently, according to Socialism for All, we're not allowed to make money as a party because that's grifting. So what do you want? I don't get it. I don't understand.
The cult of personality surrounding Haz.
This is why Haz needs Jackson. Haz this, Haz that, right? The ACP would never have gone viral without Jackson. If I need Jackson because of his clout, why did the friendship between Jackson and I begin when we were at nearly equal levels of concurrent viewership in our live streams? That's when Jackson and I started working together. Idiot.
Al-Din. Come on, you're just using his supervillain name. You're feeding the psychosis. It's infracil. Relies on people believing he has...
Yeah, you're feeding my psychosis by using the name that I'm known as, but infracil, which is just something. It's, you know, he talks about childishness. Is it really mature to just like use this infracil word? Is that maturity? Is that not childish? When I make fun of you, that's childishness. But when he just resorts to this like cringe boomer humor, talking about infracil, that's not childish. Okay.
He has some unique access to communist knowledge and truth, despite his doing zero work on the ground. Hey, wait a minute. That's not fair. He went to that Trump rally in the ill-fitting suit that still had the sticker on it and tried to pitch communism to them. Okay, yeah, that doesn't count. And living completely isolated from...
Only the things I know about are real. I'm Socialism for All. If I don't know about something, it doesn't exist. I can't even presume the limitations of my knowledge either. I just know everything. The only things that exist in the universe are what I know about, right? It's like, yeah, it's stupid.
From the American people. Clearly, such a perspective is both predatory and fundamentally anti-communist. In Infracil's geopolitical postmodernist theory with the Reds of Trotskyism, if Trotsky had been a total failure...
This guy is so scared to call me Haz, or even my real name. He's just scared to call me a name. He has to constantly... He's so insecure. It's so crazy how insecure this guy is. He has to constantly like repeat these affirmations, which are meant to denigrate me on this personal level, because according to him, not me, my masculinity makes him insecure about his. Dude, I don't care about you on this deep personal level. All right? You are not this... You need to take a few steps back. Stop. I can... Your breathing is too loud. And I can smell your breath. You need to take a few fucking steps back, you disgusting fat slob creep. I have no interest in knowing you in the way that you are implying, you know?
The social media war is paramount. Why? Because social media is the only way Infracell and his ilk have relevance or authority. And because social media is one of the main ways the ACP executive board gets paid. And that's true because straight from the horse's mouth, Infracell says in another clip that Danny Shaw leaked that his channel is what he's living off of. And as
I'm not going to get angry. I'm just going to point out the fact that I have never said I was living off of my channel. I'm living off of Kick. That's not my YouTube channel. You're on YouTube. It's all you know, so you assume everyone is like you. But I'm living off of my channel, right? It's this presumptuousness. It's this lying because of the biases he has. He has a completely reckless disregard for truth. And because he disagrees with me on Russia and China, he feels like it gives him the right to just blatantly lie about me and claim that I'm making my money from the YouTube channel. And that's what allows him to create this narrative that ACP was formed in desperation because my YouTube channel wasn't growing and I needed more money. Even though I don't get income from it. I get like maybe $100 a month or something from there. It's not really a significant, I don't live off of it. I don't pay my bills with my YouTube channel.
we showed before, at least on YouTube, its momentum is slowing way down. He's only been getting like...
See? This is the narrative he's trying to run with. He claims that I said that I live off my YouTube channel. I never said that. In any clip that... What the is he talking about?
100 subscribers a month for a number of months now. Hence the...
I live off of the Kick channel, which I don't care to grow. I just do it regularly. I do regular Kick streams with a regular income. Just enough to skirt by so I can get the work I need to do done for the party.
Panic, I believe. And hence the, we are going to tax the individual branches of a...
Oh, man. It's just like, look, if you know how insulting this shit is, no, you can't take it personally. You can't take it personally. Imagine if this guy was strapped to a chair and forced to confront the facts. I just want to know, like, would he apologize? Would he apologize? Yeah, I'm not making enough money anymore, so I'm starting the ACP. When it's the opposite. I was making enough, fine amount of money, okay? And then when ACP launched, I was making much, much less. HB, appreciate you. Literally with the exception of this month, by the way. It's rage bait against you. I suspect that. Because all people care about is my tone. They don't care about the content of what I'm actually saying, right? I'm just loud, and I have high testosterone, so people are intimidated by that. Well, then you have low character. You have low moral integrity. Okay, you're a coward is what you are. I haven't been regularly uploading on the YouTube for like over a year now because I know I'm just going to get banned like Jackson if I invest too much time in it. And I haven't been streaming to YouTube for like 2 years. If I was panicking, it's insulting because if I was panicking about my YouTube dropping off, I would just start investing in my YouTube. I wouldn't spend thousands of my own money and time and effort and dedicate my entire life to a political party if I had a problem with my YouTube channel. I would just commit to building up my YouTube channel. Okay? It's so illogical, it makes no sense. See, the problem with European American culture, I'm not trying to insult it, I'm just trying to explain this cultural difference, is that they're like, oh, when a guy gets angry, it means because he's wrong. And something you need to understand about us Arabs is we get angry when we're right about shit. Like, when we're so right about shit, we're not like John Jackman. We're like, oh, no, we get fucking pissed when we're right. Because who the fuck are you to talk shit, bitch, when I'm right? How much money I could make if I sold out is crazy. Claiming that I'm motivated by money literally sickens me to my stomach because of how much opportunity I would have had if I just sold out several times. You have no idea. With the push of a button, I could have been a regular on before my Fresh and Fit appearance. Could have been a regular. Could have gone so viral. It's crazy. I decided to be a Marxist-Leninist and invest fully in this, right? My YouTube channel, I literally almost abandoned it because of the censorship shit. If I just did culture war shit on my YouTube, it would be no issue. I wouldn't have to worry about that censorship, you know? It's just so insulting. It's so insulting. It's disgusting. Ladies and gentlemen, ACP, according to Socialism for All, was launched because my fucking YouTube channel wasn't growing. That's what he's claiming. Can't take it personally, can't get angry. You take the rage bait, that's what you give them what they want. So, I'm just going to let you guys sit on that and think about it. I'm going to let you guys, you know, think about if that has anything to do with reality. You have no idea how I'm thinking right now about all of the opportunities I was given to literally sell out. How easy it would be for me to have no plans for any party and literally lean off of politics in general and make so much money you have no idea. You have no idea how easy it would be for me to literally be a grifter if I wanted to. That is disgusting.
ACP. Why? Because we brought you together. Because he wants to live off of you. That's why. That's why they're starting this stupid...
I'm going to be calm and logical because this guy's a racist. He wants to rage bait me. I'm just going to be like him, like a Caucasian man. And I'm going to be calm and logical with him. Socialism for all. Let's talk about what would be logical if I was motivated by money. If I was motivated by money and wanting to live off of my audience, I would not even deign to think about launching a political party. What I would do is become way more inflammatory and controversial than I was for the year leading up to the party, which I cleaned up my act, by the way, for the party's sake. I would have gone on Fresh and Fit every single week, which were opportunities that were being given to me that I was turning down. Would have gone to Miami and become a trashy live streamer. And I would have streamed every single day for 8 hours. And I guarantee you I'd probably be a millionaire if I went down that path. If I wanted to live passively. That would be so easy to do. Why would I want... He's saying the tax thing is so that I could live off the rank and file. There are 7 people in the executive board. Okay? All working full-time. Maybe with an exception of Jackson, who has his own things set. Besides me, who work full-time with no salary. Okay? The idea that my salary is even in the top 10 of priorities of what the party center needs as far as its finances and its expenses. Do you think a party center doesn't have expenses? Assume that I will not take a salary. Because me taking a salary is literally last on the list. If, and that's a big if, it ever came down to that, it would be last. It would be the last expense. We have a legal department. We have an international department. We literally have a media department. We have real world events. And we have a need for a reserve bank for seed capital for the chapter enterprises. If I wanted to just live off of the membership, all I would have to do is collect dues. I wouldn't need party chapter enterprises. I would just collect dues. You're claiming, no, businesses will make you rich, Haz. They really won't. Because 99% of the money is going right back into the party. And I can't even say if I'm ever even going to be taking money at all. If it ever got to that point. I don't know. My plan for making more money individually than I have now is releasing and writing my book. And I've said that many times. I said I want to have a stream of revenue that comes from my book thing. The problem is I can't even work on my book because of the party work. I'm not going to sit here and let this fat anonymous insult my dignity by claiming that that this whole party is just for me to make money when I am literally sacrificing my own financial interests from every which way you look at it for the party's sake. The selfish thing for me that I like doing is writing my book. I literally haven't had time to do it in like a year since the party launched. These people are demonic liars. They are fucking demonic liars. But I'm wrong for taking it personally, honestly. I'm going to self-criticize and say I shouldn't take it personally. It's just, if you were sitting where I'm sitting, you're in my shoes, you're hearing this dipshit say this, and have an audience like eat this shit up, like for the slop that it is, you'd be fucking disgusted and angered to your core. But you know what? I'm going to be chill about it.
Stupid fucking party that is obviously going nowhere. It's a cult. And, just getting money from streams isn't enough. He needs to, have you go start a car wash or something so that he can get a cut. Anyway.
If my streams are not making enough money, Socialism for All, why do you think that is? Do you think I stopped making enough money from my streams before the party launched? When I was just fully committed to writing my book, which would have made and will probably make a decent amount of money if it gets to get released and I ever get the time to actually finish it? How does it make sense? Just think about it. Chapter enterprises give nothing to the center until they become self-sustaining. Only when they start making real profit, after all the expenses are covered, plus their own, do they start sending to the center. What is wrong with that? How does that reflect a grift of Haz needing to make money from the party? That makes no... You know how easy it would be to collect money from the party right now? To say nothing of only after the enterprises are profitable and self-sustaining do we take a cut, not a huge one, by the way. By we, I mean the fucking center, not us in our... Not me in my own pocket that I take home and spend on fucking food on my table. But the center... Wouldn't we just say, oh, everything has to go to us, the business, all your businesses? We could have said that. That's what a grifter would have done. A grifter also would have collected dues right away.
It is also through social media that Infracell is irrevocably bound to Jackson Hinkle, who has a much broader and artificially boosted reach. And by the way, if you ever want to look at Jackson Hinkle's replies, it's two types of people who hate him and MAGA people. That's it. So he has a right-wing audience, and actual communists really dislike him intensely. Infracell has previously...
Yeah, you just conveniently can define right-wing however you want to without justifying it.
Stated that Jackson and he are one and the same, and this is why Infracell needs Jackson. Thus, the controversial personae of our executive board members and their relationships to other public figures are in fact integral to the party itself.
Social media is objectively integral to the party. If you think the party could have gone viral without Jackson, you're a fucking delusional retard who has no comprehension of the facts.
Certain prominent ACP personalities are frequently and intentionally marred in immature debates, inflammatory statements, and highly questionable endorsements.
Yeah, all of that is subjective gibber.
Typical narcissist fashion, both Infracell and Jackson fashion themselves as petty Henry Kissingers, masters of realpolitik. I can't even reach down far enough for the sad laugh that, if true, that statement. Okay, there.
If true is doing a lot of heavy lifting, you fucking retard.
It came out. Infracell, what are you doing? This is just such a cancer on the landscape. It's so sad, it's so silly, it's so stupid, and everyone seems to know it but you. Do you really want to end up the washout that you're headed for being? I mean, you have time.
What set this guy on this tangent? Because Bree said that we think we're Henry Kissinger? Imagine that this guy... He gets set on a tangent for like 5 minutes because of something Bree made up in her stupid brain. She made some shit up. And this guy's now claiming that I'm what is he saying?
Now, you are still ridiculous, but there's still time to grow up. Think of me like an older brother right now. I know you're almost 30, but there is time. You're on a path to nowhere.
Haz, you're running out of time, Haz. Bree said that you think you're Henry Kissinger. You're running out of time, Haz. It's over for you. You're about to die. What?
Time to turn this around.
What about the decisive, like, operative thing? Like, is this true? First of all,
there's time to stop. There's time to do something else with your life instead. You can wipe the slate clean. You can move on and start a new chapter. Not of a cult, but of your life. It's important. You only get one, and you're completely wasting it. There's so much more to life. There's so much more enjoyment that you can have.
What is this, like, fed gibber? Yeah, quit and just enjoy your life. Yeah. Haz is doing this just for money, but also Haz, just quit and enjoy your life instead of literally, because he knows I'm literally sacrificing everything for this shit. And I'm not getting rich off of it. And I'm not on a yacht partying all day. It's not a particularly hedonistic, pleasurable thing that I'm doing. He knows it. He's literally admitting it.
There's so much more positivity and fulfillment that you can experience. I know you're unhappy. I mean, it's written all over your face. Every time you open your mouth, how angry and miserable and frustrated you are is all anyone hears. It's not working. And you're going to get yourself into bad.
You tend to hear me when I'm angry, you fucking retard. because you're a dishonest, disingenuous, scummy piece of shit. You are actually a scumbag. Your moral character is non-existent. You have none. You are genuinely a disingenuous coward and a piece of shit. People laugh when I get angry at these demonic scumbags, but I am not an arrogant person who thinks I'm better than anyone. I think everyone is equal. So anyone who acts in an immoral, disgusting, disreputable way pisses me off, because I hold everyone to the same standard, and that is my ultimate fault. I don't play this game of superiority where, oh, I'm better, I'm worse, I'm better. No, even, when I started out, even the dumbest, lowest retard could piss me off, because I literally do not think I'm better than anyone.
Had trouble eventually. All right, I tried. Continuing, a political approach
But because everyone is equal.
that is inherently and specifically anti-communist.
If everyone is equal, everyone should be subjected to the same justice.
Talking about realpolitik, as it is the American capitalist alternative to dialectics. They believe that they can uniquely connect all the strings of...
Okay, let's break down this dumb shit that Bree has said. Bree, you f***ing retard. Bree, you stupid bird-brained, pigeon shit-brained idiot. Realpolitik derives from the Prussian realist tradition and is most associated with Bismarck, not Henry Kissinger. The reason that there is a proximity between realpolitik and Marxism is because they both share the lineage of Clausewitzian realism. Engels was a Clausewitzian, and so was Marx. The tradition of political realism, which scoffed at the idealistic gibber of the liberals, the bourgeois liberals, is baked into Marxism. It's called political realism. It's not Henry Kissinger who invented that. It is definitely in the Marxist tradition. Marxism is not moralism, it's not idealism, it's materialism, and it's realism. And it has always been that. And the facts of how communist leaders actually acted across history and the kinds of alliances that they made and the things that they did speaks for itself if you have a minimal acquaintance with it, you moron. Talking about Henry Kissinger because you're an illiterate, pigeon-brained retard who doesn't have a minimal acquaintance with the history of communist, not only governance, but literally how communist parties used to work and operate. Where Stalin was out here robbing banks. Realpolitik is the American response to dialectics. Just what the f*** are you gibbering about? Political realism was the American response to dialectics? Political realism comes from Prussia, you f***ing idiot. I'm angry tonight. Why is it so wrong for me to be angry at stupidity? Why do people have this knee-jerk reaction that if I'm angry, it's because a smart person has gotten me? No. I am angry at stupidity, just like Nassim Nicholas Taleb is. It's that same Mediterranean Arabic energy I have. I'm not going to say it's genetic because genes aren't real. Yes, you got me. Not because you're more intelligent, but because God is more intelligent. Because it's God's will that I have to sit here and be confronted with stupid people like you, and I have to waste my time dealing with that. Because for some mysterious reason, and I have faith in God, I believe in God, but for some reason, God puts stupid people on earth to waste my time. And that does cause anger to me. And I will meditate and try to reflect and pray to come to terms and be at peace with the fact that God puts stupid people on earth for me to deal with. But for now, it's pissing me off that I have to listen to a read talk about how political realism is the American response to dialectics. What dichotomy is there between realism and dialectics? Where's the dichotomy? What do you think dialectics is? A balance between material considerations and moral ones? Is that what you think dialectics is? How is that a dichotomy? That's not an object of dialectics. Marxism The dialectics within Marxism is 100% materialist and 100% realist. It's not 50% idealist and 50% materialist. It's not 50% moralist and 50% realist. It's 100% materialist and 100% realist. One-sidedness, as far as dialectics is concerned, is not defined by committing to a materialist or a realist viewpoint. One-sidedness is defined within the context of the dialectic between form and content, where content is reduced to form, specifically, where things are abstracted from their integral totality, their concrete totality, and presented as the be-all, end-all, when in fact they comprise and form part of a greater totality. That has nothing to do with ceding even an inch to your idealist, moralist gibber that you're calling dialectics.
Of the world through their personal, suspiciously high-profile connections, and thus they can successfully foment a world proletarian revolution. This is, of course...
What is Bree gibbering about? They connect all the strings of the world through their... What? They can foment a world proletarian revolution. No, I have never used the part... Yeah, I, on my Twitter, want to foment and cultivate the discourse and the vision and the idea of a world proletarian revolution. Guilty as charged. I do want people around the world to start taking seriously world proletarian revolution. But I don't do that with my suspicious connections. I do it with what I say. I do it with how I communicate to the world. On my own account. Guilty as charged.
Of course, preposterous. The rest of the executive board is inclined...
Why is it preposterous?
...to promote the public misdeeds of Jackson because it makes them more...
Why are they misdeeds? You've never been able to prove their misdeeds. We wrote 12 pages, just like you said. You didn't respond, and you quit instead of responding. Now you're typing this up, you idiot. You disgusting piece of filth.
Money feeds their fragile egos and reinforces their misogynistic worldview. And there's an example of...
The hell are you talking about?
...of a Jackson Hinkle tweet. Never underestimate the evil lengths they will go. Who's they? Should it be in 3 parentheses?
Bree had no issues with this tweet. The only issues Bree ever had as far as tweets were concerned was shit that clashed with her feminist ideology. But Bree, I mean, if anything, Bree probably interpreted this in an anti-Semitic way and agreed with it, because Bree literally hates the Jews.
After all,
she is literally an anti-Semite who JQs.
They killed Jesus. Wonder what this is about. You're Nazis, guys. No, it's not everything I don't like is Hitler. Although increasingly, as late-stage capitalism gets closer and closer to its final crisis, yes, it will go into fact.
You know what? I'm gonna go out on a limb and say this, okay? Even if Jackson was talking about the Jews here, which he wasn't, Christian anti-Semitism is not inherently Nazi. It's just not. You don't need to drag Nazism. There's a whole millennia of that before Nazism, okay? So let's just be clear. Even if Jackson was guilty of that, which he's not. It's just so stupid how sloppy and imprecise these people are.
Fascism to try to preserve itself against the coming proletarian revolution. Like, actual left liberals are increasingly difficult to find that aren't embracing fascism in some way. But this is outright Nazi trope stuff, and he tweets it all the time.
Again, this is just an idealist comprehension of Nazism. Nazism is not when you tweet something that might be insinuated as anti-Semitic when it comes to the history of the Bible, okay? Nazism is the terroristic dictatorship of the most reactionary sections of imperialist and finance capital. Expressions of Nazi and fascist anti-Semitism historically took the form of pogroms and physical violence against Jews, and later the Holocaust. Claiming that Jews are being put in that position right now is literally a Zionist talking point.
Very, very clear pattern. Continuing, outside of social media, the American Communist Party's greatest strength lies in its international relations. The executive boards and Politburo's extensive international contacts, along with the unusually impressive work, of Christopher Halali, the nefarious and unsavory contacts of...
What unsavory contacts?
Jackson Hinkle, and the professional network of the well-respected Danny Shaw.
This is definitely a video released before Saturday.
And again, I don't really know much about Danny Shaw, as I don't really use Twitter anymore, but maybe somebody knows in the comments. Continuing, have rapidly carved a place for ACP's rhetoric in the international political arena. I mean, not really, but we'll leave that one alone for now. These external relationships are carefully cultivated and prioritized.
Oh, just wait, Socialism for All. Not really. Just wait. Oh, just wait.
By the executive board. Where are Americans in this? Where's the concern for the advancement of the working class?
Yeah. We're patsocs, but we're also, we're not American enough now. Where are the Americans in this? I don't know the entire party. We have an international department, and Jackson is in Moscow. That means there's no Americans. 99% of everything the party does is American, but there's no Americans.
Elevation of proletarian consciousness. The top two priorities of the...
Tell me, Bree, how you could do that better than we are currently. No, notice that's missing in all of this. She never proposed anything that we're doing the community service, we're doing labor organizing, we're starting to get involved in local politics. But none of that is in the advancement of the working class. None of that is the elevation of proletarian consciousness. So what does that look like then, Bree?
The executive board are one.
The American response to dialectics.
The leadership, social media, petty fiefdom. And two, cultivating international contacts of widely varying quality, integrity, and relevance. Domestic.
You know, Bree, I don't know if she's autistic, but she's genuinely like a stupid person with a low IQ. Genuinely a stupid person. She's trying to say that the national initiatives of the party that chapters are executing in a decentralized way aren't priorities of the executive board because the executive board is not a chapter. As if Kyle hasn't directly had a hand in all of the labor organizing that we've been doing. As if without the executive board, there could have been a Hurricane Helene effort. There couldn't have been. She's saying that because we are not ourselves a chapter, that what the chapters are doing is not a priority for us. But Bree, who created the framework for the chapters to do what they're doing in the first place?
The concerns are wholly relegated to the inept but typically well-meaning rank and file. Yeah, if the rank and file are the...
Domestic concerns are only outside the executive board, according to Bree. Because Bree knows the ins and outs. I'll tell you why. Bree is so smart, guys. She was a chapter executive. For anyone who's willing to listen to reason, Bree, in her genius, thinks that she knows how the party works because she was a chapter executive. So if we were not at her chapter executive meetings as the executive board, which is not our place to be in, we are apparently she knows nothing about what's going on in the executive board or the leadership. And according to her, we're not concerned with the domestic stuff because she's not involved in what we do when it comes to the domestic stuff. So in her genius mind, she thinks she knows everything how it works because she was a chapter executive. And therefore, everything she did not see doesn't exist. Again, it's a common theme with these pigeon brain. They have the brain of a pigeon. If they don't see it, it doesn't exist. Socialism for all, Bree, they all have this in common. If they don't see it, it doesn't exist. If they don't know about it, it doesn't exist. They can't even logically infer that maybe the executive board has done a thing or two to oversee the chapters. Maybe a little bit, right?
Average mecha tanky trolls on Twitter, they are not well-meaning. And they're overworked, under-resourced chapter executives. The quote,
the under-resourced chapter executives. Because we're just swimming in money, Bree. We're just swimming in money. Why do you think we want to do chapter enterprises? We don't have Roy Singham. We don't have Roy Singham who's going to send us $12 million for free. We don't have that. We don't have a wealthy donor. Under-resourced? What, you think we're just withholding money from you? Noah is literally a guy who works on roofs for a living. That's how he pays his bills.
ACP, so maligned by leftists, is in truth just an aesthetic veneer. Hey, dumbass, that's pretty much what we were saying.
Socialism for all is a retard. I'll be right back. I'll explain why he's a retard. Anyway, let me explain why Socialism for all is actually stupid as
File are the average mecha tanky trolls on Twitter, they are not well-meaning. And they're overworked, under-resourced chapter executives. The quote, patriotism of the ACP, so maligned by leftists, is in truth just an aesthetic veneer. Hey, dumbass, that's pretty much what we were saying. This whole rah-rah, let's wave.
Hey, dumbass, that's not what you're saying. What you're saying is that our patriotism is genuine and therefore bad and that we're reactionary. Never have you said that our patriotism was just a veneer and that in reality we're Russian and Chinese agents. You are making the argument that our patriotism is sincere and therefore fascist and chauvinistic and whatever. So you have a basic inability to follow through with basic reading comprehension. You idiot, smugly and arrogantly trying to denigrate our reputation and paint us as dumbasses when you're this fucking stupid. Socialism for all, you fucking
the American flag bourgeois nationalist bullshit really has nothing to do with Lenin's concept of celebrating the successes of the class struggle achieved in your local culture. The emphasis at all times is on proletarian internationalism, with the simultaneous recognition that the struggle is won and launched within more of a national context just because of scale. But really any...
So are you saying you're actually a true patriotic socialist and our patriotism is just a aesthetic veneer socialism for all? If that is so, if you are willing to commit to socialist patriotism, which was basic Marxist-Leninist orthodoxy, that's one less thing we disagree about, actually. But no, you have to have this frivolous claim that we're bourgeois nationalists and that real socialist patriotism looks different. Well, how does it look then? Explain.
Kind of morale-building force about the capabilities of the people involved is something to be highlighted, but not in a way that's going to dovetail at all with the reactionary nature of bourgeois nationalism. Anyway, there's a whole other discussion.
So stupid. Fucking idiot doesn't even know what bourgeois nationalism is. He'll say MLK was a bourgeois nationalist.
We've already had. But her point is that it's just an aesthetic veneer. Yes, and a stupid one at that. I mean, that's a really bad strategy that's going to be alienating to the more advanced masses, which they're just sneeringly...
Who are the more advanced masses? I'm curious. Is it college graduate students? Grad students are the more advanced masses. Can you count the advanced masses? It's probably like a few thousand. So what makes them masses, you fucking idiot?
Writing off as a leftist.
Who is the more advanced masses he's talking about? The more advanced masses. Yeah. Is that what you tell yourself? That these fucking out-of-touch petty bourgeois professionals are advanced masses rather than the parasitic petty bourgeois strata that they objectively are? And their bourgeois institutions parasitically making revenue by pencil pushing? That's advanced masses to you? That's how you're coping with your basic inability to reach the working classes? Go form a party with that lot of petty bourgeois individualists. You can't. They always split and splinter in every million different kind of ways because they can't show any proletarian discipline. But you're calling that advanced because they're on the U.S. flag and burning the flag, and you're saying that's advanced. The advanced masses are advanced because they're in college and they're talking about how the 1619 project is correct. But they're so advanced, they just happen to be the demographic that's incapable of actually organizing in any independent capacity with collective discipline. You have a different idea of what constitutes advanced than we Marxists, Socialism for All. Your idea of advanced is based in a subjectivistic criterion of virtue signaling and how transgender you're willing to be. Ours is based in objectively what is necessary for the formation of an independent proletarian party. And that is why we are Marxists, and that is why you are a maggot.
In pursuit of the golden demographic of the reactionary white male worker. Like, that's the problem here. It's a LARP, and
He's dichotomizing advanced and backward sections of the masses on the basis of immutable characteristics such as sex and race, and for good measure he throws in reactionary, which, as we all know, can mean anything to this guy. You don't happen to agree with wearing fucking masks everywhere in 2025, then you're a reactionary, according to this guy. Keep that in mind.
And it's a LARP with a bad intention behind it. Anyway, continuing, I had to fight for the ACP to even acknowledge and release a statement on the horribly devastating Hurricane Helene, and
you didn't have to fight anyone. And when you convinced the executive board, we launched a national campaign. We didn't just approve your chapter's activities. We gave you credit for taking initiative there, and we liked it. We gave you hero of the party for that, Bree. The idea that we didn't give you proper recognition for that is preposterous. We gave you hero of the party because you took initiative and you inspired everyone to get into action for it. That's a great thing about our party, is that there's a dynamic between chapters and the leadership. But the idea that this reflects somehow on our part a lack of care or consideration for what's going on in the country is not true. We set general guidelines for what kind of work we want to get done in the country. When things happen locally that get national attention and you inform us about it, that's part of how the party's supposed to be working. We need to get data from chapters. We need to know what's going on the ground for us to make decisions that impact the entire party.
And even when I convinced the executive board, I had to write the statement entirely by myself. Furthermore, my criticism of the blatant statistical errors in the party's public Veterans Day statement were ignored. Why?
They weren't ignored, it's just that we had already published it, and it was like a day that passed, and we couldn't issue a retraction. It was 2 days that passed, I think.
Executive board cared more about tweet views than accuracy.
We couldn't have deleted it and reissued it when it wasn't Veterans Day anymore. What's the point of releasing a Veterans Day statement that's not on Veterans Day? I don't understand. By the way, if you are tweeting anything, you do need to care about views, because what is the point of communicating anything to the public if they're not seeing it? In Bree's genius mind, she's being a principled, beautiful soul by prioritizing her own false sense of self-righteousness. Then the step one of, are people even seeing this shit? Are you talking to anyone but yourself?
On the internal dysfunction of the ACP, let's be clear, there's a wide gulf between the executive board and everyone else in the party.
Wow. 7 people can't be everywhere at once. There's a wide gulf. Like, Bree is literally, you know that disgusting anime with the, what is it called? Neon Genesis Evangelion? Where at the end, it's like some weird shit where they're like, we all have to be one. We're going to join together in one body. Like, that's what Bree wants. Like, there's a wide, we all need a hug and all, there's a wide gulf. Yeah, because we're different. We are 7 people that are physically separated from you in time and in space. But that is not a unique feature of our party. It is an immutable and unavoidable feature of any form of human collective existence. Let's be clear. Let's be clear, guys. There's a wide gulf between Mao and the party head of this region, you know, in China. Fuck, really? That's crazy. You know what a narcissist Bree was? She wanted us to give her attention 24/7. She didn't care that there were 22 other chapter executives or whatever. Like, it's no. We have to constantly be She was DMing Eddie every day. Eddie was taking the hit. She wanted attention from Eddie every day. Every day. She didn't care that there's 22 other chapter executives. Only and it still was too wide of a gulf for her, by the way.
The executive board operates as a clique with its own interests removed from the members and the activities of the chapters. The ACP executive board...
What are you fucking talking about? How is this not true for any executive body or Politburo or standing committee or whatever in any communist party? According to your logic. Because it's a separate organ, literally. Somebody bitching and complaining without any fucking like positive alternative like they have in mind and they don't even know what they're complaining about.
Its own advisory Politburo and has no central committee nor any system of accountability for its...
I'm this close to crashing out. I didn't read this at first, but I'm reading it for the first time now. I'm this close to crashing out. Imagine you're walking to the grocery store. You can't drive there. You can't take the metro. You can only walk. And you're literally on your way. And someone calls you up and screams at you because you're not at the grocery store. What do you think I'm doing right now? Do you think I'm standing? Do you think I can teleport there? You think I just fucking teleport there? Or what is she saying? That she thinks there should have been one at launch? How could we launch with a central committee? Before we have a constitution, how does that work? How would it be chosen? By what electoral body? The first thing that needs to be ratified is the Constitution that establishes these voting bodies and the procedures. Then we say we're going to have a central committee in the spring that's going to oversee the leadership. She can't wait that long. She needs one now. If it's not now, it's never, right? You see how I'm about to crash out? Like, our party exists for 5 months. She's bitching we don't have a central committee? 5 months! And she's about this. You can't wait? 5 months you're going to decide the whole thing's bullshit? Because not everything's fucking done yet? I mean, you idiot, Bree, you don't even have a fucking party now. Not only do you not have a central committee, you don't have a party at all. Socialism for all. You have nothing. You don't even have a party. We're being attacked because not all of our party bodies are finalized yet? Can you even give us a chance to try to build them? We literally have a roadmap. Oh, not everything is, no, it's either everything now or communism, full communism now, or everything's bullshit. How are you not a anarchist? Imagine you're a pizza driver and you're delivering a pizza. You're like the Krusty Krab pizza. You're delivering pizza to a house and you're on your way. And you just left and you just got the order and you're on your way. And someone calls you and says, you know, the pizza's not at my door. Yeah, you're right. I have to drive there. I can't teleport it to you. There has to be time. Because time and space. I'm not omniscient. I'm not omnipotent. I am bounded by time and space, by laws of time and space. The smart and manipulative thing would be like, I should make her look crazy. But I am not, it's not my temperament. Like, somebody does some dumbass crazy shit, I'll be more crazy than you. And maybe I should self-criticize, or maybe that's just a fucking fact of who I am. And if you don't like it, shove it up your ass. It has no central committee, or it has no central committee. Isn't that what we're trying to build by the spring? You're criticizing us for not having something that we're in the process of building and preparing for?
Its leadership, the entire executive board and Politburo are unelected.
I am baffled. Bree seriously thinks, oh man, either I crash out or I become depressed at stupidity. But I cannot be neutral in the face of stupidity. I cannot. Okay, let me be calm. I'll be calm. I'll be calm. As a calm white man, that's what everyone wants. I'll be calm. Okay. I'm a WASP, white Anglo-Saxon Protestant, and I will be calm and explain exactly the faulty reasoning in Bree's arguments. Bree, I'm sorry to tell you, but creating electoral bodies and institutions to elect leadership would require organizing. And we run upon an intriguing paradox. Who elects the people that organize and put together those very same procedures? I mean, do we just anarchically, telepathically, all read each other's minds and come together in the same location? Who chooses that location? Who chooses the venue? Who pays for it? How do we all know these things? How do we all coordinate telepathically in a way that is horizontal and democratic and fulfilling all of the anarchistic, individualistic demands you have in mind about how to actually put together an electoral body? I mean, there has to be a way to organize it. And who's going to, how do we vote on who gets to organize the very voting procedures that you're demanding and expecting in the first place, Bree? Who's going to vote for that? Who's voting for the organizers of the democracy that you want to see happening from day one, Bree? Where's the accountability in voting for that? Is it just you? Should you just be the dictator day one, Bree? If that's what you want, you should have just said that. Am I irrational? Am I irrational because I'm saying it in a silly voice? Am I irrational for saying it in a silly voice? Like how stupid it is? But is what I said irrational about how stupid it is? Like, who organizes the organizers? Who democratically elects the democratic voting body? Who democratically elects the democratic system in the first place? That is a very simple paradox. What is the democratic voting body for the very democratic procedures and system in place in the first place? Okay? Frankly, am I crazy? Am I crazy for wanting to crash out about how stupid what she said is? They want a reaction. You're right. But like, that's an ethnic problem for me. I don't know how else to put it. Like, I am a brown Arab, Nassim Nicholas Taleb, Mediterranean, Afro-Asiatic male. I am not. And I can be my true self now because there's not a soul in the world who believes my name is Adam and I'm half German. For years, everyone thought I was Adam and I was half German, so I had to start acting German. Nobody believes Ali is a fucking German, okay? So let me be my true brown self now. Isn't it my issue that I don't believe in status? I give everyone a chance. I literally sit here and give stupid people the chance to say dumbass shit, and I crash out about how stupid it is. Anyone who's got some sense to them would sit here and laugh at this. But I love humanity so much that if there's even a single soul who doesn't get it, I am literally trying to educate them. And it's pissing me off, but I do it anyway. I could just be an arrogant asshole and sneer at all this, which I would be in the right to do. But no, I want to make sure everyone understands. Because there's genuinely people who read this, and Bree wrote this, and somehow in her stupid head thought this was somehow an intelligent or coherent thing to say. But I struggle to sneer at things. Because I believe in God, and I think actually we're all the same in God's eyes. But everyone always tells me, Haz, you're crazy. Why don't you just laugh at this shit? And I say, because I genuinely believe we're all equal. That is the dumbest thing about me. I swear to God, you want to criticize me? The dumbest thing about me is I genuinely think all human beings are equal. It's so stupid. I should literally be an arrogant aristocrat. But I know for a fact that arrogant aristocrats get hit by God the hardest. Straight up. But they always win too. You know? Damn.
And this will not change for the next 1 to 2 years as per the ACP Constitution. And let's review. Infracell said that he's living off of his channel, so obviously he doesn't want anything that could...
Again, this is rage bait meant to make me crash out, that claiming that I live off of my channel. And I'm not going to react to it. I'm just going to let everyone infer my actual income from the YouTube channel, and if that's possibly anything anyone could ever live off of. How have I been living off my channel? I literally cannot, no one can feasibly live off $100 a month, okay? Clearly I'm getting my income from somewhere else, you genius. You silly little genius, Socialism for All. Clearly my income isn't from the YouTube. Maybe do the minimum of your due diligence and research, you stupid, dishonest piece of shit.
Jeopardize that. He may wind up with it anyway, but that's what he's trying to avoid.
What?
Next in the hierarchy are the chapter executives.
What is he saying? Like, what is he saying? If I want my YouTube to grow so badly, I just quit the party and do YouTube full time. It's so simple. It is like, okay, I'm so worried about my YouTube, dude. Then why am I doing this shit? If YouTube was my priority, I'd just quit the party and grow the YouTube. But look at my YouTube before the party. I upload like once every 5 months or something.
executives elected by the rank and file of their state chapters. However, there's a total schism or divide between these lower tiers of ACP, the chapter executives and rank and file, and the upper tiers, the executive board and
yeah, there's a schism because Bree spurged out, sure. There's a schism because Bree, like, only her, she spurged out. Which, by the way, had nothing to do with her petty bourgeois academic background. It was because there was a class divide in the ACP between chapter, guys, this is class. This is what Marxists mean by class.
Politburo. The only communication.
This is class analysis. The rank and file, the lower executives, and the upper tiers. This is literally historical materialism. This is classes. This is class. Bree rediscovered Marxism from her experience in the party.
Between the two is top down, usually in the form of random, urgent orders.
What? You mean the leadership actually leads? Wait. You mean the leadership leads, not the reverse? This is news to me. I thought Bree should be in charge. Bree should have been in charge. What? No, Bree! You should have been the chairwoman. But she couldn't wait 2 years, so she had to do this because she realized Bree's just like a narcissist who's like, I deserve that seat. And he's like, I'm going to wait 2 years and bide my time. And then, like, she watched Netflix and, like, a week passed, and she was like, you know what? This is taking too long. I'm going to hop on to something else. Lion doesn't react to a fly. Yeah. You're right. You're right. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. But I told you my biggest, most stupid thing about me is I see everyone as human. You know? Am I a lion and Bree is a fly? I never let it speak for itself. I just have to prove it all the time. People say that's just because you're insecure. No. It's because I don't take anything for granted. Only God can take things for granted. Are you kidding? I'm a communist. We literally believe that the highest and most mighty and the people with the wealthiest elites will topple from their high towers. They'll topple. Not like 9/11, by the way, FBI. But as communists, we believe that the people regarded the most highly in our society will fall. How the fuck could we take refuge in any arrogance or conceit? If billionaires are going to be humbled, aristocrats, kings, if those people are going to be humbled, we better be humble ourselves.
As I've alluded to, the work of the chapters is completely decentralized and varies widely in quantity and quality. This system, which once gave me much hope for my ability to succeed and materialize change as a communist in my community, allowed me to accomplish a great deal very quickly as the chapter executive for my state. However, the system also left us all with detrimentally little guidance and oversight. Yeah, because they don't care. They just want money from you eventually. Generally,
see, I reflected, that didn't even make me angry.
The executive board took exceedingly little interest in the work of its members unless and until it caught the executive board's attention on social media. If the attention was negative,
how could we show interest in your work? You just want constant positive reinforcement? Maybe that could be a constructive criticism, that we don't do enough positive reinforcement and say, good job, although we try. But we're just very busy. And you're only hearing from us usually when you're messing up, because our job is to make sure no one's messing up.
The punishment was swift and severe. I'd love to hear more about that.
Me too, because I'm trying to think of examples. By the way, this is not, if you just know about what Kyle's up to, it's just such nonsense. There was 1 or 2 examples of this, but the punishments were not severe. There's no severe punishment.
If the attention was positive, you could be exalted to most unusual heights. This is how I was awarded Hero of the American Communist Party so quickly, despite my history of disagreement with members of the executive.
No, you were awarded Hero, Bree, for the simple reason that you took the initiative with Hurricane Helene, and you inspired us for it to be a party-wide national thing, and you were the first, to propose that, and that's why it was the initiative you took. Obviously, we want positive attention toward the party, but honestly, it's not I mean, this is such a silly interpretation.
Executive board. I simply made the party look really good in public as hero of the party and one of the most...
We're such a cult, and we're so unreasonable, and we're such dictators. But Bree, you had a history of disagreement with us, and you just admitted that, and we still gave you hero of the party, and publicly, in front of everyone, uplifted your status in the party because we liked something you did, which was the Hurricane Helene thing. And to self-criticize, we shouldn't have done that. We ourselves were trying to be self-critical and say, look, this person has a history of disagreeing with us. Let's not let that get in the way of good work for the party. We gave you hero. Maybe we should have been more self-critical and said, but on the other hand, Bree is a loose cannon and an individualistic liberal. Maybe we shouldn't reward them or uplift their status because they're not someone we can fully trust.
Most successful chapter executives. Was I ever asked to educate other members on the lessons we learned along the way so that others may replicate our success? Of course not.
Educate them with what? What are you talking about? This was a crisis no one foresaw, and no, we didn't want to make it a regular thing that we... And I'll explain that, and I think she's gonna talk about the donation drive for Hurricane Helene. I'll explain that.
On chapter enterprises. I'll reflect for a moment on the painfully misguided and understudied failure of one of the party's least realistic ideas, chapter enterprises. These small businesses were intended to fund the party and integrate the ACP into our communities. However, how on earth could a bunch of young, 20-something-year-old men, again, it's always men, with little to no job experience or financial or business knowledge, somehow launch successful businesses across the country with no support at all whatsoever from the party? They can't and they haven't. Chapter business.
Well, the idea is very simple. All it takes is one person to be successful, and then there's a model that works that can potentially be replicated. So it's not that we thought there was going to be instant success. What we wanted is, it's like AI. If you have a big enough data set, eventually, just because of laws of probability, for example, you can get the result you're looking for. And once you get that, the possibility opens up that it can replicate. Now, that is the model our party has. That is like... not just for chapter enterprises, but for a bunch of other things too. That was the point of decentralization. It was to make the party like an AI, kind of, And you are wrong. There are a minimum of 3 businesses that show promise, because there are people within the party that are bound to have business knowledge and know how to run and have the ability to do it. No one's saying that everyone will, but people are bound to have that. And once they can produce a successful model, they can replicate that success for others. And we're 5 months old. I don't know who told you that if you don't launch profitable businesses within 5 months, that it's not possible, that it will never happen. I don't know what you're expecting.
Businesses are dead in the water. Starting small business.
So Bree said chapter businesses are dead in the water, and I think she's going to feel deeply embarrassed when in a year from now, there will be businesses. So they will be in the water swimming, I guess. I don't know.
Businesses as party members is merely a further abstraction from the masses.
But then why did Lenin say that they're local economic strong points that are bases for engaging the masses?
Lenin said to go to the masses, not isolate ourselves in our own petty businesses, hoping to...
Yeah, but Bree, where do we get the resources and the money to do that full time?
One day have a large enough business to organize the proletariat. Yeah, so...
a large enough business to organize the proletariat. Don't you mean like resources to fund organizing initiatives that we're already engaged in but want to expand on a greater scale? Did we wait for a large business to join in on the Amazon efforts? Did we wait for other labor organizing initiatives that I believe the St. Louis not St. Louis, the Missouri chapter is involved in? I believe. So we didn't wait. It's just that to expand these on an even greater scale, considering them co-ops and non-profit. Our party is a non-profit. It is a registered non-profit. And yes, they of course will be co-ops. Of course they're going to be cooperatives. That was the point Of course they're cooperative enterprises. What else would they be, you know? And no, they're not. It depends on what you mean. That we are legally a nonprofit. So all of the revenue goes to expanding our activities. It doesn't go to enriching ourselves individually. That was never was any. The opposite has always been communicated.
Businesses are not the class organ of the proletariat. That would be labor unions. And as
Wait. Labor unions fall within the stage of trade union consciousness, according to Lenin. But a communist party is more advanced than a labor union. Because labor unions are not inherently political. This guy doesn't know Marxism 101. Now, if he's saying that communist parties, they should only be funded by labor unions, that's putting the cart before the horse, because for the Communist Party to start establishing its own independent labor unions itself requires resources. Party's primary form of revenue in the past came from dues. It's that simple. But to be a party in the modern age, you can't just operate on that model. You need other sources of revenue to be able to support and sustain deepened contact with both the labor movement and the masses.
As we know, capitalism gets its profits from extracting surplus labor from workers. So literally that is the problem we're trying to end.
That is the problem you are trying to end by overseeing the transition, by taking political power through a proletarian dictatorship. You are not ending capitalism by establishing an alternative lifestyle within capitalism. Okay? This guy is not a Marxist. He is some kind of strange anarchist who's also a hypocrite because he's using Patreon and he's also partaking in these capitalistic lifestyles and ways of living and forms of existence, and he has no problem with that. And he's using computers that were created from child labor in mines in Africa, and he has no problem with that, right? You're reinforcing child labor, socialism for all, by using a computer.
It's so goofy. It's such a bad idea, but it is so about...
I think it's goofy that you rely on child labor from Africa, you know, according to your logic. Because, no, we're trying to end... We're trying to end, first of all, the state machine that exists now, which is retarding the development of the productive forces and the history itself. But second of all, we are not trying to end all economic activity in and of itself. And for as long as capitalism is the prevailing mode of production in the society we live in, everyone and anything will need to partake in economic activity just to exist and survive. For a party to want to expand its activities, not just survive, but expand, it needs to partake in that economic activity even more aggressively. That's the reality we live in. I don't know what to tell him.
So getting your money. So yeah, if you start a business, the profits of that business are coming from the surplus value that you're extracting from workers. It's from...
That is not necessarily true at all. Read volume 3 of Capital. He hasn't. A business generating profit does not automatically entail the extraction of surplus value from the employees at that business. That is not true at all.
From exploiting labor. Anyway, such a bad idea. The idea is absurd and the execution non-existent. I do, however, understand the need to have independent funding for communist organizing. To that end...
Okay, to that end, let's hear it.
Why did ACP leadership never establish or promote a way to donate to the ACP to help...
You mean the thing we were in the process of doing before Shaw started wrecking? Also, we couldn't survive purely on that basis either. Also, talk about grifting off of the audience. In that case, all that would happen is that, you know, the party members would just be... That would be the cult you're talking about, you know? Nobody would be getting anything. Nobody would be getting any resources. They would just be giving and giving to us, the center. How could we... all that would be happening is we'd just be centralizing the money people get from their jobs, and which is historically what parties have done. But in reality, parties that have been able to get off the ground needed wealthy benefactors, and we don't have that.
Fund the activities of the chapters instead of relying on members to pay out of pocket for everything. The executive leadership was too
No. Members are paying out of pocket regardless. It's just a question of how it's centralized. All this revenue is coming to us, the center, then we have to decide how it's spent on a chapter by chapter basis. How can we do that? Will chapters have a say in it? You know? Either way, it's coming out of pocket for now. The only thing that can change that is if we have enterprises and businesses, which will create revenue that comes into the party from outside.
Competent and too preoccupied with their own personal streams of income as online content creators who establish legitimate means of funding the party as head of the
What are you talking about? The party was too incompetent and preoccupied with personal streams. What legitimate means of funding the party do you have in mind? How is our preoccupation with paying our bills, which we still have to do, coming at the expense of this? Be specific.
Hurricane Helene relief efforts. I was told by Infracell himself that he and the party weren't exactly pleased that we had raised and mobilized so much money to serve the hard-hit communities of North Carolina, because the money that came in from our members could have gone to funding other ventures of interest to leadership.
Okay. I'm going to explain this abject lie Bree is saying so you get the full story, okay? No, not just the full story. The story of what she's talking about. We are a registered and legal nonprofit. Every money we get when it comes to donations, we have to actually spend. If we set up a donation drive for Hurricane Helene, every single dime has to go to Hurricane Helene, right? The problem was that the money was not being spent fast enough. We were getting too much money, and Bree did not have a plan for spending the money. So it was putting us in a legally compromising position. A legally compromised position, which we were almost going to get in trouble for. Okay? That was a very dangerous situation we were in. There wasn't a plan to spend all the money. There wasn't a plan, and it wasn't being done in a timely way. We were getting way more than we had any idea what to do with. Legally, it was incumbent upon us to spend every single dime of that to Hurricane Helene. It's not like we could just put that money in a party bank and spend it later on something. We had to spend it on Hurricane Helene. So it was creating, Red Maze, thank you, it was creating a legally compromising situation for us. We are a registered 501c4 nonprofit, okay? And I communicated very directly. So much money was raised that could have gone to labor organizing, to chapter enterprises. And I would have, yeah, absolutely. That would have been better. There was excess money that was raised that shouldn't have been. It was an excess. Given such excesses, these things should go to building up sustainable streams of revenue as capital, is what I told her, I believe. But I didn't say that like people were making mistakes or I had a problem with it. I said, no, we want to encourage money being spent more productively because we're a registered nonprofit. If we don't have a plan for this shit, we're going to get in trouble. So we want people to have a plan and have a productive strategy for this kind of stuff.
However, there was neither a mechanism nor even a plan for that to occur.
Then why are there literally 3 to 4 enterprises already in the works?
On the failings and priorities of ACP.
Why is the party leadership regularly having business meetings? I mean, you don't even know what you're talking about. She claims she has insight into the inner workings and dynamics. She is completely full of
leadership. Working in an abstracted, nationwide, decentralized, novel system is incredibly challenging, adding to the difficulties the lack of a stated party strategy and vision. That could be part of it. The long-awaited ACP.
How is there not a clear party strategy and vision? We are telling you what you should be doing as general guidelines, but you're saying that's what? How would it? Okay, the ACP manifesto is going to be talking about Michael Hudson super imperialism and these grand things about this. We're going to talk a little bit about the program and things like that. The ACP manifesto is not going to be a user manual guide as far as what chapters should be doing. I think that's just a really stupid thing to say.
manifesto has still not been produced. And as we covered here at the channel a while back, the Rise of MAGA Communism document from 2 years ago is probably as close as they have to one, and it includes...
No, it's not. The Rise of MAGA Communism is theoretically going into detail about MAGA communism, not the ACP.
The following fundamentally revisionist passage. The critique of private property doesn't mean taking property away from people. It means using political power in a way that serves the common interests of the people rather than the private interests of money.
Yeah.
Contractual forms of association between the people, which allow people to secure their rights of ownership, will continue to exist far into the future.
That's true.
And will only disappear when they are rendered unnecessary by the productive forces.
That's what Marx and Engels said. It's true.
When no institutional challenge to their ownership will even exist.
Absolutely. If I own a toothbrush, if there's no challenge to my ability to have a home and a toothbrush or whatever, then the need for any kind of property system becomes superfluous. But private property and ownership are not the same thing. There's personal ownership, and there's also ownership that reflects specific economic activity, distinct economic activity. And private property as an institution is not reducible to that.
That is Kautskyite gradualism, but you also hear it echoed.
No, it is not. I am sick of this. I already educated Socialism for All on this. But will you guys even clip this and like show the world this guy's an idiot, or everyone's just gonna brush off again? Crazy Haz is going off talking for no reason. Guys, how many times do I need to say that gradualism and Kautskyism and Bernsteinism is about the political class struggle and has nothing to do with the degree of enthusiasm of completely overturning voluntarily the economic base? That Kautskyism is about political reformism, whereas what I'm talking about still presupposes a proletarian dictatorship born of the smashing of the state machine and a revolution. Do you guys comprehend that distinction? He's trying to say that because I'm saying that contractual forms of association which allow people to secure rights of ownership will exist well into the future, right? That's gradualism. But contractual forms of association between people that allow them to secure their rights of ownership can occur under a proletarian dictatorship, and has and is, today. For example, in China, which he doesn't think China's socialist, that's fine. But no one says China is Kautskyite, because China is a dictatorship. It already had its revolution. Gradualism is about political reformism. It is about it is succumbing politically the independence of a party or a political position. It's about reformism versus revolution, for example. It has nothing to do with questions of the economic base and in what way will the transition to socialism occur under a proletarian dictatorship. Read the 10 planks of the Communist Manifesto, and they confirm everything I'm saying here. There will not be an immediate destruction of rights of ownership upon the seizure of power by the proletarian class in a revolution. There's a difference between political reforms and reform and changes made to the economy. You can have economic gradualism, but revolutionary politics. Because revolutionary politics is about sovereignty and who is in power and how they acquire power. Changing the relations of production is a different question. It's not the same thing.
Code in modern China. What's going to abolish capitalist relations? Not class struggle, not any kind of subjective factor of the workers gaining class consciousness and struggling for revolution and to build socialism. No, it's just the productive forces. That's what's going to render capitalism, quote, unnecessary.
No, it's unleashing the productive forces by removing the fetters, which is the existing superstructure and state power. Again, you're missing that politics is the struggle. It's war.
And capitalists are, in fact, going to stop even trying to defend capitalism. And when will this occur? Far into the future. That's interesting because I believe that Lenin declared that the era of proletarian revolution had begun over 100 years ago. But now you're...
Right, but proletarian revolution is a political event, where the proletariat seizes the reins of state power. Proletarian revolution is not synonymous with an immediate transformation of the relations of production. Rather, the proletarian revolution removes the fetters that retard the transformations in the relations of production that are anticipated by Marxists. He doesn't understand this distinction because he's fundamentally illiterate when it comes to basic questions about Marxism.
You're saying that actually capitalism is just going to continue for a long time into the future, maybe centuries, until capitalists just decide that this capitalism thing isn't worth defending anymore. The global working class can just have in.
No, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm talking about relations of production and contractual forms of association that allow people to secure their rights, which even existed under Stalin in the 1936 Soviet Constitution.
Industry, and everybody's going to shake hands and say good game. So yeah, I would expect more of that.
No, what you're talking about is completely unrelated to anything that any reasonable person could possibly infer from what I'm writing. You're talking about political reformism. The very essay that you're citing, Socialism for All, explicitly talks about left-wing revolutionary partisanship, citing Che Guevara. And does that sound like political reformism to you?
From the ACP.
Absolute enmity, Schmittian and Clausewitzian absolute enmity. Politics as a war that is based in a fundamental and irreconcilable antagonism that culminates in physical, forceful war. Does that sound like political reformism to you? Because it's all in the essay.
ACP manifesto, if it ever shows up. The roles and rules for executive board members are not articulated.
This guy is so smug and he's so arrogant, but he doesn't have the basics of Marxism 101 nailed down. It's incredibly frustrating hearing the arrogance and smugness in the tone of his voice when you have a rudimentary familiarity with what Marxism actually is and with the actual canon of literature that this guy apparently makes a living making audiobooks of, but not actually understanding, apparently, or remembering at least.
There is insufficient internal documentation, no onboarding call, and little guidance for anyone in the ACP, including chapter executives. This results in many questions and mistakes.
In so many words, Bree is just saying Eddie didn't talk to me enough because she's lonely and she wants to flirt with Eddie and he didn't do it enough. And in so many words, that's all she's saying here.
Mistakes that once made are dealt with most harshly by the ACP executive board. The quote leadership of ACP has no
little guidance. Well, maybe we're new to this as well. You ever thought of that? She's talking about things that would be standard for literally any party that's 5 months old. Or at this case, 3 months old, because she was only in it for 3 months.
Leadership experience, and it shows.
We have no leadership experience. You're right, but where do you get it from, Bree?
No apparent knowledge of organizational management, and
well, if we had no knowledge of organizational management, I don't think we would have an organization by now. Given that there were several, no, just 2 attempts already to wreck the party. One was yours, and the other was Danny Shaw's and John's, and the organization remains. So I think that speaks to our management.
They aren't interested in gaining those skills. So it really is
based on what?
MAGA communism, Trump style, under the executive board.
What? But Trump is in power, so I don't know if this is an insult. Trump is literally in power, and you're gonna insult us by saying we're acting like Trump? Okay, well, I guess that's such a failure of leadership that he literally seized power.
Boards in this leadership, the ACP rank and file are an unstably unified collection of 2 broad groups of contradictory people, those from IGG/Infracell and those from more offline backgrounds, who specific.
You know why Bree deleted her account? Because she realized that this copium, she was telling herself that there's this schism between IGG and the offline people, was a schism between 99% of people and 1%. Literally 99% of the whole party versus 1% of the party. And by offline, Bree means professionals, like lawyers and academics and petty bourgeois people. And the IGG people she's talking about, who she claims are online, over half of them are blue-collar workers. That's being generous. I would say it's way more. And the offline people are the ones that care about Jackson's tweets so much. So the distinction she's talking about is literally herself and 5 other people at most versus everyone else. That's the primary contradiction. Bree versus the world.
Strictly support ACP. The former group, often called guerrillas, dogmatically back the Khan. That's another nickname for infracell. And it's spelled Khan, although CON might also be appropriate.
Huh, I get it. The con, like a con game. But a con is not a person, so it's not really that funny.
The ones tearing me apart on social media for leaving ACP are primarily from this group. Note
What a cope. It's literally the whole party tearing her apart. Everyone talked shit about Bree, even Danny. Yeah, which we released in a leaked recording.
that many of these infracell stands are not in the party and thus have no actual ability to speak on party dynamics. Although I have to add here, they're anonymous, so how would you even know? Yet they are often the vocal and ardent supporters. The offline group consists of more regular working class people who are often turned off by the antics of the guerrillas.
Yeah, the blue collar guys and gals are the ones that are offended by the antics of the guerrillas, not the petty bourgeois Bree academics and whatnot. Yeah, Bree. Is that what you tell yourself to feel better?
I frequently receive messages of support from these workers. Infracell
By these workers, she means literally like 3 people, by the way.
and the ACP, however, rely on the dogmatism of the guerrillas. And I don't think dogmatism is actually the appropriate word. Fanaticism is probably a better word here.
Yeah, it's pretty based.
Infracell, Jackson Hinkle, and the Midwestern Mussolini crew have all systematically prioritized their own streams of revenue and relevance over the party itself. Wait, are you saying that this is a social media grifter party, which is what
We've prioritized our own streams of revenue over the party, yet all of our personal streams of revenue have taken a hit because of how much we've sacrificed and devoted to putting that in the party at the expense of putting food on our own table.
what everyone was saying when it launched? I mean, thanks for confirming, I guess. Leaving other members to desperately try to pick up the slack.
What? I mean, we're 7 people. What is she complaining about? That 7 people can't be everywhere at once and do everything?
Jackson's only perceivable role in the party was to create introductory graphics for the new chapters and boost them on Twitter. A task
Yeah. Here, this is rich. Jackson had no significant role in the ACP, guys. Jackson had nothing to do with the ACP growing, according to Bree and her genius.
he unceremoniously quit doing entirely within weeks of the party launch. Carlos from Midwestern Mussolini, the ACP Director of Education, relied on the California chapter to put together a functional educational program for all party cadre while happily taking money from members to teach unofficial Marxist courses elsewhere.
Carlos can't teach classes that he did before for Midwestern Marx?
Infracell prioritized his personal trip to Russia and a pointless debate with a TikToker over drafting and members to teach unofficial education, relied on the Kalaski unceremonious to put together a functional educational program for all party cadre while happily taking money from members to teach unofficial Marxist courses elsewhere. Infracell
This photo was taken in February when there was no ACP. And this was during the Mir conference of the Russophile movement. There was no ACP during this time.
prioritized his personal trip to Russia and a pointless debate.
There were no personal trips to Russia, Bree. There were invitations to go on a press tour to Donbass and to build relations between our party and comrades in Russia. You don't regard that as important, but you also claim to not regard anything as important except Eddie flirting with you in your DMs. Bree, you would be content with just getting a boyfriend from the party, I guess, but we are actually interested in growing the party. You think that's frivolous and doesn't matter. We think it does matter.
With a TikToker over drafting and assembling the most fundamental and necessary party documents. The ACP Constitution and Party Program only exist because of the tireless yet thankless efforts of the ACP's former law team, approved by Infracell mere hours.
So which one is it? Did I dictate the entire Constitution and program? I'm not going to say this is necessarily wrong, because they were indispensable. But to say that it only exists because of them, as in no one else had any decisive effort or input put into that, is nonsense. I was literally there for the party program being drafted. I'm not denigrating what the law team did, but this is just a lie. Oh, they did it, and then I had approved mere hours. But this contradicts John's story, which is that I dictated everything and scrapped everything he did, and at the last minute Made everything myself. So you see how they contradicting each other? Where is she getting this information? Clearly it's not from John, because what she's saying contradicts what John said.
Before being presented to the rank and file. Infamously, these documents were ratified unanimously. Why?
If it's true, Bree, that John did the Constitution, then why did John complain that the Constitution was illegitimate because, you guys dictated everything and we didn't have time to give our input or whatever? It's such nonsense. If this is John's Constitution, why didn't he follow it? Why was he so willing to break it? It's nonsense.
Because party members who took time off of work and flew all the way to Chicago on their own dime to the National Convention were not given any time whatsoever to review these documents before we were asked to vote on them.
So why didn't you reject them because of that? You could have given that reason.
We weren't even able to read the founding documents of our party.
You were given a link to go and review it. Bree, I remember what you were doing in that interim period. You decided to socialize. You were socializing and chatting it up with others. During the break period where you were given 30 minutes to look it through, you decided to socialize and not read it, even though you were provided a link like everyone else.
It goes without saying that there was no debate or criticism of these documents whatsoever before they were ratified.
You could have voted nay and said, I want time for debate and whatever, because I don't trust this. You could have just done that. You could have said something to that effect too, and we would have come back with a different procedure for ratifying it, which we had this in mind for how the structure of the party needs to be until our democratic bodies are fleshed out and created. And we even let you vote on that.
Absurd. And I'd just like to highlight the irony that the ACP in the summer tried to use some of the momentum from the CPUSA's widely criticized convention to build steam for their launch.
Okay, you know what? The CPUSA's the only reason that convention was widely criticized was because of what guerrillas in the CPUSA were doing the entire time. That was all us, Socialism for All. That was all us. Nothing would have been criticized were it not for us. I don't even know how much I can reveal, but it's like, that was all us, okay?
And then their convention just months later had some of the same problems. On internal criticism.
No, it didn't. We'd never shut down any criticism at all. That wasn't our convention did not prohibit people from discussing or whatever. Yeah, you're going to say it was rushed. That's fine, but we didn't silence anyone. And there wasn't a clear sentiment within the people that were in attendance of that convention that reflected, the need for discussion. At the CPUSA's convention, the issue of supporting the Democrats was incredibly contentious for the people there. But there was no contention about how the convention was being handled for the ACP because not a single person was raising their voice and saying anything. Not even one person. So it's incomparable.
Criticism. Much bellyaching occurs online against me, Bree, on this point. Why did Bree not bring her criticisms to the party internally? Let it be known, I tried everything. There are
No, you didn't. You did not try everything. You tried to criticize us, and we responded, and you quit after that response. You said it was an anti-Bree manifesto, and you quit.
No mechanisms for internal criticism, and my repeated demands, beginning in August of 2024, for increased organizational capacity to facilitate mechanisms of internal criticism, fell on deaf, hostile.
But there's no central committee. You want something that's there right away that's not going to be there till spring, which you're not even going to be eligible for because you're a chapter executive, and chapter executives can't be on the central committee because of the conflict of interest.
Years. The ACP is a dictatorship of the neurotic, insular, and self-interested executive board. The executive board has no capacity nor desire to understand internal criticism.
Yeah, do this Oedipal rebellion against the executive board. Congratulations. You've toppled the executive board. Now what do you have, Bree? Yourself and nothing. And your own self-satisfaction. They just want to endlessly mount these rebellions against these Oedipal authorities forever because they can't challenge the U.S. government. But they can LARP a revolution by wrecking a party. And that's literally what this leftist psychology comes down to. Parties give them an opportunity to play out their anarchistic, fetishistic desires because they are relatable, because they give them that ability. They are completely powerless when it comes to the actual state we live in. But they want to LARP and use parties as a microcosm, as a kind of playground to enact their fantasies that they can't actually do in real life.
Let alone incorporate it to strengthen the party. Internal party communication was tightly controlled, such that chapter executives were only permitted to talk amongst themselves in the party-controlled chapter executive Telegram chat.
Okay. About party business, not in general, clearly not in general, about party business. Yes, but that's in our Constitution. Authorized channels of communication. You cannot leak sensitive information about party business in authorized channels.
Cooperation between the chapters.
Tell me where that's not standard.
Was prohibited without the explicit permission and inclusion of Kyle Pettis, the pettiest of petty tyrants, who served as the ACP Director of Personnel and Security. Furthermore, chapter executives could only speak to the members in their own chapter about the party, never members in any other chapter.
That's not true. That's not true at all. You could speak to whoever you want. But when it comes to matters relating to party business, they have to be in appropriate channels of communication.
The information ecosystem was tightly controlled by the executive board, thus making the mere mention of free internal criticism moot. And
a communist party controlling information internally? Gasp.
Here you see a text between Kyle and Bree. Kyle says, I'm also a member of the executive board telling you what the situation is. It's not open for interpretation. Bree had asked, whose place is it to determine? Pettis says, mine and the other members of the executive board. Bree says, I will not stand for the debasement of my sex. I'm happy to be brought in front of the full executive on this issue. Pettis replies, that's not how this works. I'm speaking on behalf of
What the hell? I think this was about the Jackson tweet.
the board, and thus the critique will immediately be neutralized and rendered inconsequential.
Haz states that criticism is welcome, but that is because the criticism must go to the executive board, and thus the critique will immediately be neutralized. It can also go to the journal, though, and be neutralized. By neutralized, she means a response will be issued that the majority will find persuasive and compelling. No meaningful disagreement is tolerated. Based on what? I received an abundance of messages from members. Yeah, we know who they are, Bree, and they got purged. It's a few people. It's like 3 or 4 people, excluding Danny Shaw. But we do not know how to move forward and affect change. Many members have expressed to me, and chapter executives, yeah, like the ones in Philadelphia, New Mexico, have expressed to me that they fear reprisals if they speak up. They feel impotent, and of course they are. Oh man, the party existed for 3 months, and oh, so much drama. We are the tyrants. It's like Shakespeare. Oh, what a Shakespearean drama for a 3-month party that Bree literally, she couldn't help it. She had to wreck it after 3 months. She had to create a Shakespearean drama. 3 months! 3 months in this level of exaggeration. Oh, can we even have a party? Can we even have anything at all without this self-important, dramatic nonsense? You guys know something funny about Shaw? Zach was telling us, like, Shaw, when he literally, like, tried to bring Zach into his thing, he was, like, at a bar, he's like, come here, and then he's like, he was filling Zach in, and then Shaw looked at Zach, and he's like, you're in the underground now! This is, like, in December or some shit. Shaw's like, you in the underground now. And it's like the dude was LARPing Far Cry 6 or like a Far Cry game. But like, dude, you could just leave the party. Like, this isn't like Far Cry where this is like an island and I'm the dictator of the island. You're in the underground now. Climb the tower for the Ubisoft game and let's... You know what's funny about these Ubisoft games? They're literally wrecker simulators. Like, whether it's Far Cry or Just Cause or even Assassin's Creed, all you're doing is like undermining the stability of regimes and causing chaos and like wrecking infrastructure. It's literally like CIA wrecker color revolution simulators. That's a separate topic. But Danny Shaw was LARPing as a Far Cry NPC when he, like, Zach is like, Zach is a Far Cry main character. And Danny is like the NPC who's like gives missions. You're in the underground now. Like, what the f*** is this? Half-Life? Is this Half-Life? You're staging a f***ing underground for a voluntary party that you could just leave? You don't have to be here. You could just quit. It's literally just like LARP for no reason. Just to, like, it's so pathetic. They clearly want to fantasize just being revolutionary so bad, but they're so incompetent when it comes to rebelling against the state that they have to LARP being revolutionaries to topple the Haz regime.
At one point, I issued, at Infracel's demand, a self-criticism against my correct public critique of Jackson Hinkle's misogyny. I apologized to my fellow chapter executives for daring to state the obvious publicly about Jackson, and I urged them to help me fight for better internal means of communication. So we see an example here, a clip of a statement.
Just talk to me! It's literally Bree. Just talk to me! She just wanted attention and to be talked to, specifically by Eddie.
From 5 December 2024, written by Bree. It reads,
Bree, there's literally 30 other executives, all right? Sorry. Even if we gave you 1 hour out of the day just to talk to you, it still would not be enough to divide that time equally for the rest of the day, because there's only 24 hours in the day. Even if we gave you 1 hour out of the day, it still wouldn't be possible. There's just not enough time.
Encourage our executive board, as I've done many times in the past, to prioritize forming the organizational capacity for grievances, concerns, and party matters to be adequately and respectfully handled internally. Party strength does not come from the dictates of above. It comes from the ability to effectively utilize the knowledge and capacity of its members for the correct leadership vision.
Yeah, but we were doing that when it came to things that members were doing that we thought were good and that we were impressed by, like what you did with Helene, Bree. We gave you the credit for that. Like others, but you're complaining about Jackson's tweets. You wanted to control Jackson's Twitter.
Comrades, I encourage all of us to be willing to participate in active internal debates, even and especially when it is hard. I receive weekly and even daily messages from ACP members with concerns. Let us bring these issues out in the open within ACP and to our leaders' internal self-criticism with the rank and file.
She called it the anti-Bree manifesto. Based. He did not share my... Bree, you're making all these claims about my 12 pages, but you couldn't even respond. You're calling it jibber jabber. Proof? Proof? Any proof? What's your proof? The errors of Jackson mongering. Exactly. Discursive subjectivism. Cultural individualism. Danny agrees, Bree. You have that problem. This is not a reasonable or sane man. See, this is where my anger comes from. I'm not sane. My sanity has to be called into question because I'm polemicizing with you internally. Why don't rationally explain what's so insane about what I said? It's just self-evident that anyone would ever disagree with me is crazy. Through his political maneuvering, what? Denigrating my reputation. Bree, the whole party was shit-talking you because you were being a wrecker individualist. I was saving your reputation by telling you to do a self-criticism. Everyone was turning against you without me. We wanted to save your reputation, Bree, because we gave you hero of the party, which made us look stupid in retrospect. Bree, you don't understand that. We wanted you to save your reputation. What you were doing was making us look really stupid. Because we gave you a award. And we gassed you up a ton. It made us look really dumb. All right? That's on us. We'll take the blame. You want to talk about self-criticism and us being humble? We fucked up gassing Bree up in the way we did. All right? We gave her a chance and thought she would she was doing so much good work. She's gonna move forward. Same old Bree. She's always been wrecker at heart, individualist at heart. He painted me. I didn't paint you as a wrecker in that document, although I should have. He further wasted everyone's time. Well, you wasted our... See, look, you could have responded to it. Look, in the same breath that Bree claims that we're prohibiting criticism and that there's no ability to meaningfully engage in criticism, in the same breath, she's also dismissing any ability for us to participate in that discussion as a waste of everyone's time. So we're wasting everyone's time unless we bow down and give Bree what she wants. Unless we bow down and give Bree what she wants, we're wasting everyone's time. We're not allowed to engage in... Bree, you're the one that wanted to start an issue. We committed time to discussing that issue with you. Oh, you're wasting my time. Then shut the up, frankly. Nobody wanted to talk to you about anything. You insisted on it because you said we need the credit. Okay, well, don't say it's a waste of time. This is what you wanted. My way or the highway, or it's a waste of time, right?
Thus making them believe my self-criticism didn't exist. 2, completely misrepresented my arguments. He first brings reality to a world of capital F, capital N fake news, files on other ACP members and associates.
The heavily foreign, Rev is like Indian, I guess, has kept a profile on me for many months. Nobody blackmailed you. I don't even know. The only reason she found out about this is because Danny told her, but they never told her, oh, we're going to release this on you, Bree. No, there's no blackmail. There was no blackmail because she wasn't even informed that RTSG found out that she was like a big JQer. Bree, nobody forced you to say what you did about the Jews. Bree hates the Jews. I don't know. The Groypers would love her. She does not like the Jews. And RTSG took note of that internally, and it wasn't public. They didn't tell Bree that, like, we're going to blackmail you. They also found out about her connections with the Black Hammer guy. That was very important for them to do. They never told her, they told us. It's just that Danny told her. They have profiles on the ACP members and associates as well. Let me think. They did do a background check on John and found nothing, so that's why we vetted John, basically. Beyond that, no. No, they don't. I can't think of one other person in the ACP they've done this background check on. Let me think. No. Definitely not for regular members. Definitely not.
Associates as well, wholly unbeknownst to most people. Conclusion. The ACP's lack of internal structure, combined with leadership's neglect of organizational management, disinterest in the chapters, and overt hostility to criticism, led to my departure. After...
What? No, you left because I wrote a 12-page response to your arguments, which you tapped out. You were like, "This is too, I can't respond to this because he's right. I'll sound stupid if I respond." So you left.
After leaving the ACP and reflecting on my time within the party, I have a much stronger understanding of the truth. The ACP is a cult of personality with zero respect for democratic centralism and strong financial incentives against it.
The party's existed for like 4 months, and Bree is an expert on... She's not only an expert on the internal dynamics of leadership, she's an expert on every possible potential within the party forever. Like, she claims that because she was in there for... Imagine if this party exists for 5 or 10 years. Someone claims they've been in it for 4 months, they have enough knowledge to know exactly everything this party could ever possibly be. It's kind of stupid, right?
Thus, ACP shortcomings cannot be overcome. The, quote, American Communist Party is a destructive force for its members, and should it continue gaining prominence, unlikely, for the American left and the American people as well.
Damn. I wish we had an ability to, like, know what the trajectory for the American left and the American people would look like if there wasn't an ACP. Something that launched 4 or 5 months ago. It's such a mystery as far as what America's trajectory and the American left's trajectory would look like had this party not formed 5 months ago. Surely something would have changed. Surely there... Oh! Guys! They were right about... It's like that meme where they're mining. 99% of people quit right before they hit the jackpot. Before ACP launched, the American left was right about to, like, get its shit together. Like, it was right about to do it, but then we ruined it. Bree is so smart.
Please. The ACP is supported by nefarious international actors and tolerated by the American intelligence agencies because the ACP is actively disuniting the American people.
What? Tolerated by the American intelligence agencies. What? Because we're not... because a sniper hasn't killed me right now. It's such a stupid-ass thing to say. It's like, Bree, you're being tolerated by... what are you saying? You're being... What are you talking about? Who's... The only people not being tolerated are in jail right now or they're dead. So if you're not in jail and if you're not dead, you're a Fed.
It is a toxic den of crybaby and hypocritical leadership, propped up by the misplaced good faith of its members, and popularized through right-wing media. It is not a party, it is not communist, and it is not American.
Says the person who's not even in a party. How would you know? You don't even know how to, like, exist collectively. You just... How would you know?
And then there's an additional note saying...
The shit about it not being American is just like racism. All right, we get it. Haz is an Arab.
Screenshot showing that almost as soon as I joined in August 2024, I began asking for ACP to increase organizational capacity, the same exact internal criticism.
No, you asked that we talk to you more often. That's not. There's nothing about talking to you more often that's organizational capacity.
Still making in December because no one in leadership cared enough to fix the issues.
No, you were complaining about Jackson's tweets.
And unfortunately, those are no longer available, but with everything that is available, it's enough for me. So, what other opinions and positions can you form on this group at this point? It was formed by social media grifters associated with Duginist fascism and LaRoucheism, and just what exactly is the attractive element here? So that is the bulk of the presentation. I want to thank.
All right. So I feel like I ended this guy's career. I feel like I I don't want to ever hear anyone bring this guy up again because I spent 5 hours literally ripping this apart so methodically. I didn't even let him get away with anything. So he did win on one thing, which is the definition of several. I'm shocked I lost that. Several, I can't believe that. I was so convinced that several meant 7. That is shocking to me. That changed my everything. Several? I thought it was 7 or more. But apparently 3 can be several. I'm a little triggered by that still. But we'll investigate. LaRouche we'll send it to the LaRouche guys to investigate. As to the actual substance of what he was claiming, kind of speaks for itself. How wrong he was about everything. So, in long story short, Socialism for All claims that the ACP was launched because Haz's YouTube was dwindling, which was because Haz was becoming unpopular and not because Haz was uploading every 4 or 5 months because he was literally writing a book and making preparations for that very same party. What a genius. What a genius this guy is. And that Haz launched this party because he just wants to live off of the party passively, despite the fact that he doesn't even take any money from it at all and has poured a lot of money in it. Okay, but this guy's a genius, though, Anyway, guys, if you stayed through all of that, congratulations. Now, you sat through 5 hours of this. Anyone who ever brings up this idiot's videos again, you better aggressively, beat the shit out of them metaphorically in the comments and in replies and swarm them. Because that was 5 hours of you. You better, be equipped to swarm these motherfuckers now. All right? I gave you a lot of arguments, and you better clip this and expose this idiot. And I'm only doing this because this guy, he got quite a decent amount of views. He got 11,000 views. Let me look at his most popular videos. Okay. As of the past... This is crazy. As of the past year, his most popular videos... 4 of this guy's most popular videos...
Hey,
He also, guys, if you go into his comments right now, I encourage you to do that because he still has to approve them, but you will be bombard him in his YouTube comments in that video, bombard his comments because he will have to, don't thumbs down the video and don't even watch a second of it. Because it'll hurt him on the algorithm. But bombard his comments because it will get to him. And he'll see it at least. Well, you don't have to do that. It'd just be kind of funny. It's not in order. It's just a suggestion. Anyway, guys, I'll see you guys 2 days. Bye-bye.